Yeah,
I,
that's
di-
pretty fast.
I didn't have time.
I've
Maybe.
heard people finish it in like one play session.
All right, let's see here. I think we're live. For those that are waiting, we're waiting for a couple more people.
This is
Tease.
all you got tonight.
Yeah, it's retro juice. Retro juice opinions. So we're gonna be talking about how much we hate like Streets of Rage and Shenmue and what's something T loves. Oh, I know he loves Shenmue. Robert's supposed to be here at like 1 and like 7:30. Terrell's running late. T's
Bitching
traveling.
about anime, like trashing some rabbits and shit.
Yeah, rabbits go home. We're gonna talk about how shitty that is. But yeah. Anyway, so I figured we had people waiting. We'd come on and let you know we're still waiting. Um, we can just BS for a little bit. I don't know what your situation is over there because the Suicide Squad came out on Friday for us to stream it or go to the theater. How does what just randomly? What's the movie theater situation like in France right now?
Slowly, so what they've been doing here now is because a lot of people don't want to get the shots. We've been getting protests every week. Like when I'm at the hotel, I see like everybody just walking outside. It's ridiculous. Like nobody cared when nobody was making money and shit with all these protests, but now people are getting mad because what they want to do is once you get your second shot over here, at least you get like a pass. They call it a sanitation pass, I think they
Mm-hmm.
call it, where it has like a QR code and shit. And you're no longer allowed to go in like bars, restaurants, discos, cinemas, and all that kind of stuff if you don't have that pass. So things are opening up now. You can go to the movies again. Movies are hitting theaters again, but you need that pass in order to go to the movies. So shit is starting to open up again when it comes to
But
that
people
stuff.
are see we haven't gone that extreme in the U.S. Just a bunch of people who didn't want to get it waited till like 60% of the population had it, and then they just open things back up, and then all the people who didn't want to get it don't have to get it. But now with the new wave, the Delta variant or whatever, I think more people are gonna start getting it. But I could see people if you tell them they have to get vaccinated in order to do something. That's where it's like human nature
That
kicks
that's
in.
when it hurts. Exactly. That's how you get people to do it. You got to
But
do it some way.
is it? Do you have to pay to get the vaccination?
No, it's free
Mm.
over here. So even the tests, you need to, for example, to travel or to go out of the country, you have to get like the test to see if you have it or not. Even that was free always. And even that, they're making it paid now so that people who don't get vaccinated, they could, oh, let me just take this test or I can still go to the restaurant,
Oh,
that kind of
okay.
stuff. They're making everything paid now.
It's interesting because I haven't been following the news and stuff, so I don't really know how things are going. I know over here, as soon as they're like, yeah, we got 60% vaccinated, everything open, just everything, no mask, no anything, and boom, we're back open. So I've been vaccinated. I had it since like April.
Oh, yeah,
So I've had
me
my.
too.
So anyway, uh, yeah. Did you play anything? I guess it doesn't have to be new. What have you been playing
Actually
since?
play something new. And I haven't, because I wasn't there last week. And I think the week before that, I forgot to mention it because I actually played a lot of Pokemon Unite. I've been trying the new Pokemon game, the League of Legends kind of thing they
Mm-hmm.
did. I've been having fun with it. I'm playing it less now because, I mean, it's literally one level unless you play a different mode. It's one screen all the time. It's extremely monotonous, but they can add to it, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. You choose like one Pokemon, you're on like a team with other people, and it's basically like basketball. It's a lot of fun, but let's just say it has potential to become really good. Apart from that, talking about Pokemon, the Pokemon Snap update had free DLC for Pokemon Snap. You get like two new levels. Each new level has like three variants. Then you get like an extra mode, which is also a new level. They're adding all these Pokemon. They added so much shit. And I would have paid for that stuff. Like, it's a lot of stuff they added. I've been playing that for like the past week now. Like, enough content to keep you busy for hours every night. Like, it's ridiculous. And it was completely free. And it just makes me so mad that they're like updating Pokemon Snap for free. they're updating Mario Kart on the phone, they're updating Animal Crossing on the phone. Meanwhile, Mario Kart is dying and it's still selling. Animal Crossing is dying because even I was expecting more updates than what they did.
Kind of like
So
Mario
it's
Maker
like all
2.
of the priority. Yeah, that's the other one I was going to say. And Mario Maker 2, like you expected those games to be like the staples Nintendo would build upon. I always said when Nintendo would release Animal Crossing on the Switch, it should be like at least in the halfway cycle of the Switch because it's something you're going to keep building from and upgrading. And like I built a new phone for a few days and I fucking put Pocket Camp back on there because there's way more shit in that game and it pisses me off. It's just true. Like the priorities are so out of whack. And it makes even less sense considering the Switch is what it's about, or just had like 90
It
fucking
hit
million
89,
units
yeah.
sold. Yeah,
89
like
million.
come on. So I've
Yeah,
been playing a lot of stuff, but not the stuff I would hope to be playing.
isn't that crazy? Because Pokemon Snap, they didn't even tease new content that I know
Yeah,
of.
it
They didn't
just
even
dropped out of
mention it.
nowhere.
So it's not like they dangled that carrot for people to buy it, like Mario Golf, where they're like, "Hey, we're gonna have New Donk City," which they added already. But anyway, let's see what in the chat we got. 12 feet tall. We got Lenny. We got We got Gerudo Training and Gaming. I don't recognize that name. You might have been here before, but that's a unique name for sure. Let's see. It says the really desperate spammy YouTube channel said so. What are you talking? I must have missed the first part.
Remasters for Ocarina of Time.
Oh, Ocarina of Time.
Man, people are wanting remasters of remasters of remasters, and it's Zelda, so people just keep eating it up.
I mean, I don't know, but let's get back to this content update thing because you make a good point. Mario Kart, I forget what the mobile game's called.
Mario Kart Tour. It has a disgusting roster. That's like fucking 50 characters. And it's not just like Pink Peach and Gold Peach and this Peach. You have like outfit variants, but the roster is ridiculous in the mobile game.
Why? I mean, I guess they can make money. Oh, that's Falcon Black's. Must be his new name or different. And then Bowser Grunt joined. So, on one hand, if you're going to have a mobile Mario Kart game, a very popular franchise on a popular platform, I could see them wanting to give that content. But when it's putting to shame, I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at this point, they should have put out some new tracks or something, some new characters for fucking free. Let me just add that because
if you're actually having this Switch like live off of Mario Kart 8 at this point, 5 years in, and it's still all the way on top, you might as well release new DLC for it. Why not?
And it's like we keep saying the game is 100% profit. It has been probably since the first 100,000 it sold on Switch.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And they can't reward. I mean, it's one of the highest selling games. What was that, 39 million or something now? They posted the new numbers.
It's
absurd. I mean, even the fact they don't have paid DLC. I mean, how much money could they have made having new characters and tracks in the last couple years? It's just crazy. On one hand, they're not being greedy enough because they could be making way more money on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. On the other hand, they're being lazy with it. So I'm just wondering, they're just saving all that for Mario Kart 9, which I wouldn't even be surprised if Mario Kart 9 is main development is done. They're just waiting for the time to launch it, I bet it's further along than most people would probably think. But
maybe they're thinking like, well, Mario Kart 8 is still selling like 10 million a month. Yeah. Let's wait till it drops below 5 million, then we'll launch a new one.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they and they might have the basic idea, structure and stuff, and then they might come up like I still think it's coming out the launch of the next system. And either way, it's
going to be close either way.
They can tweak it and stuff, but I have a feeling it's fairly far along in its development. We're not complaining about Nintendo. We're just saying it's weird that they're supporting Pokemon Snap. Honestly,
the wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Is
the
like
Pokemon Snap example. I think there's 13 or something levels in the game, and you added two new ones. It's a big chunk of shit they added. I'm not joking. I would have paid for that stuff, like legit.
And this is Pokemon. Like, I know they didn't make it. I forget who made it. Did Bandai make it, or
Almost not.
yeah, or develop? It
Uh,
was
I don't remember. I
developed by
remember
one
there
of
being a
the
level.
like those one of the Japanese developers, and Koei Tecmo, somebody, I believe, somebody in the chat, if you can correct me. Pokemon's not known for giving out free stuff and
Yeah,
being very generous with stuff like that. From my outsider perspective, I don't know. Maybe they do.
Pokemon Unite is literally pay to win. That's what it is. It's one of the biggest complaints at this moment. You can literally pay to get your items upgraded, which will give the same Pokemons like a massive advantage if you pay for it.
Oh yeah. Well,
Oh
my
yeah,
point is like Pokemon Snap is turning out to be one of the highlights of the Nintendo Switch's library as far as how well it was. We're seeing people seem to
it's
love it. How
really fucking good.
amazing visuals and and a great sequel, not just not just another Pokemon Snap with some minor improvements or something. It feels like a worthy sequel, and then it gets this nice chunk of free content. It's like, when's the last Nintendo game on the Switch to get a sizable chunk of free new content that wasn't like
Free, exactly.
promised ahead of time? Like, hey, if you buy this game, this is coming later. Like, it's just crazy that. I mean, I honestly think it's. I mean,
You had to pay to get less on Luigi's Mansion 3.
yeah, yeah. It's just crazy. I mean, I know Metroid. I'm confident Metroid Dread's going to be a amazing game, but I wouldn't be shocked if Pokemon Snap is like remembered as the game Switch game of 2021, and especially if it gets another free content update or something. Like
I'm all going crazy now with that. I'm looking at the map now because they added the levels on the map. I'm thinking, oh, maybe there's spot for another level here, there's spot for another level here. I didn't even need a single update like before that. I said it before. The game is like substantial. There's a lot of content, compared to the old game. There's a lot of different modes, new content, all the online shit that they added to it, and then just to add more to it, it didn't even need that. It's just like free shit. It makes me feel so happy, and it's sad because I'm not used to getting free shit from Nintendo during the Switch era.
yeah, it's been. I mean, that was kind of the thing we always said. Nintendo, the value proposition to the customer. This is the kind of stuff. If this was more the norm, I think. I mean, I can speak for myself. I'd be a lot more. My praise would be a lot more for the Switch. Like, I'd be praising it a lot more instead of criticizing. Ports for $60 and whether or not the new content's worth it. And so I finished Bowser's Fury. I started it last Monday, so it was 4 play sessions. I got 100% of it, and I did a live review, Juice Opinions thing, and got interrupted by some internet outage. But that's a game that it definitely feels like, and I wish more you guys had played it, because to me it's so interesting just thinking about how did this game begin, because a lot of speculation. I know Alex Prime's in here. I think he was the first one, or one of the first, to say he thought it probably started as Odyssey DLC back when it was first announced. There's no way this was ever Odyssey DLC. There's nothing about it that feels like Odyssey DLC. It doesn't play like Odyssey. It doesn't control like Odyssey. It's not using the Odyssey's game engine. It's just completely unrelated to Odyssey. So my question is, when the hell did they start making this game? And was it initially 3D World DLC from back in the day that they canceled? Was it an idea that they had, this Fury Bowser idea that they just kind of had out there and decided to put it in this game in the 3D World engine using all the 3D World power-ups? I would be very curious, and it might be anticlimactic to find out, but I'd be very curious how that game started out, its development journey. Was it just a idea, oh, we need to add some content to 3D World, what do you guys got? And they threw this together, or has it been something they started back in like 2014 or something? as possible
I
DLC.
can see them having done that. That they knew they were gonna resell us 3D World. They're like, can we add something to it? And that they had an idea originally for it, or even for Odyssey that they scrapped and that they just added that to this game and just developed it. Like I can totally see them having done that.
Yeah, because I was listening back because I was trying to gauge if I really was like ripping the game or not, and I feel like um, I was focusing on the couple big points, which aren't exactly like they're not deal breakers. The game is still, I guess, still gave it a B plus. Like, but they were the biggest weaknesses of the game is the biggest new thing to the game, or the only real new thing is Fury Bowser. The other thing is it's to say it's has performance issues. I think's very fair. I was surprised at how often the frame rate dipped, even without Fury Bowser around. So I'm curious again, like, what did this have a super short development cycle? This doesn't feel like that Nintendo, level of polish. I know Sunshine had the last Bowser fight had slowed down, but for the most part, the game was pretty smooth. But there's literally times where there's no Fury Bowser. I'm just running in an area, and all of a sudden the game just like goes into slow mode, slow motion, and it was surprising and it was jarring being a 3D Mario game. I don't think there's been. I think it was literally Sunshine was the last one that had a 3D Mario game that had performance issues. I don't think Galaxy 1 or 2 ever had dips that I can remember. I mean, maybe it did. Maybe on the last Bowser fight. In both the Galaxy games, but those were running on the Wii, looking beautiful and very smooth. 3D World wasn't even a question. I don't think it ever dipped, even with 4 like giant creatures on screen. Yeah, in the load time, when you get the Gigabell, like I posted that on Twitter. Visor just brought that up, and you wait 20 seconds. Like I'm just thinking I'd get and I'd go fight.
It was
And
brutal.
I'm like, yeah, 20 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're in like the heat of the battle, and that's, I fought him as Giga, I think it's Giga Cat Mario or whatever it's called, the Gigabell, whatever they call Mario when he's big. I did that like a dozen times, so it's like I started noticing. I'm like, what the hell? It's like this just feels so weird, but I had to load in a new area because it's not the same area. It's just a scaled
There's
down.
a lot of loading. I feel in a way Nintendo is like hiding, screwing you over with the shit because every trailer, the whole gimmick is the Giga shit. And in every trailer, you see Mario just go for the bell, bam, the big, and the fighting. When I saw that clip you posted, I was shocked. I was like, yo, what the fuck? You actually have to. 20 seconds is a fucking long time to wait, especially, as like you said, if you're in an action that is continuing into something else.
Yeah, who knows what we know the Switch has fast internal memory, and the game cards are they're not quite solid state drives, but they're similar technology, and coming off PS5 for the last 2 months, it's definitely took me out of the moment, which is it's just that's a minor issue. The real issue is that Fury Bowser just poses almost the only threat he poses is to the frame rate. Honestly, he's barely a threat if you're just trying to get a shine. You have some fireballs. Clearly, you can see the marks on the ground where it's going to land. It poses almost no threat to you. Once or twice, there's one area where on this, those 3D Land and 3D World where there's the green thing on the rails where it has an arrow going one way, arrow going the other. So you jump on the front and it moves forward. You jump on the back and it moves backwards. I was on one of these rails in a difficult section and he showed up. And I was just like, nowhere to go. There's lava. I just got to take the hit. So he hit me twice and actually killed me before I got to the shine. So he did pose a threat that time. But for the most part, he just leaves after like 40 seconds. If there was longer, if the Switch could record for a minute, I would have showed a clip of him showing up and then just walking away if you don't, do anything. It's just like leaves. I'm like, what is this about? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to worry about Bowser while I try to get the shine. And And he just walks away. He just goes, and the sunshine comes back out, and he's gone. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I remember Jess. I watched Jess stream it, and I don't remember that happening, but I'm sure it did. But it was just like so random. Like, oh, okay, so I'll just keep doing what I was doing then, because you're gone. I didn't even have to fight you or nothing. I didn't have to run. You just showed up and left. So it's just one of those weird things where it was the main selling point, the main thing they showed, and it's honestly, just for me, I don't know how other people feel. It's probably the most forgettable part of the game. Other than when you get the Giga Bell and you fight them, and the last fight and stuff's really cool. But as far as that, Fury Bowser showing up is pretty much a forgettable part of the game, and that's kind of like that was like the big moment in the trailer when you got to see that. So the rest of the game's fun. It's just Fury Bowser's doesn't live up to the hype and the potential, I feel.
We're all joining the
Yeah, what are you
Retro
ruining
Juice
the
tonight.
Retro Juice stream here, man? What the hell?
I mean, if y'all were getting along, I was just gonna let y'all talk. I wanted y'all to have this emotional moment because this will never happen again.
So I was
Not on my watch.
I was just I beat Bowser's Fury, so I was talking about it. And,
Yes,
I would sum it up as $20 DLC. I think most people would be very pleased with that. Most Mario fans, 3D Mario fans, would have felt that's good value for the content, about 4 or 5 hours. But as a standalone game, I'd say $20 tops, and as a pack-in, to a amazing game, which my favorite 3D Mario game. I'm not salty at all at it. I'm actually glad I ended up buying it. Waited till it was 50 for new. I could have got it 45.
How much time did you put into it?
It doesn't say yet. I didn't check because it was just saying just started. But I would say 4 to 5 hours to 100% Bowser's Fury, and I have at least however long it took me to beat World 1 on 3D World, plus like three or four levels into World 2, so about an hour in the 3D World, and I'm having fun replaying 3D World again. So it does move super fast, so I don't know if I like how the movement speed being increased that much. It's kind of I don't know that it was exactly necessary for Peach, but just Mario, man. Like as soon as you hit that top speed and you're trying to make like 3 jumps to get to the flagpole, man, I just out of control. So let's see, T's not going to be here. Gerudo, he's traveling, I believe.
What about Robert?
Robert's going to be here in about a few minutes.
1 minute and 40 seconds.
So Terrell, did you check any games off your list? Did you beat anything?
Okay, so
Terrell's playing art. Let's go.
all right, so here's the thing. Wednesday I beat No More Heroes 1 kind of. When I say kind of is I got the normal ending, but I need to go back and fight Henry to get the fucking true ending, which is just one boss fight, and I tried it Wednesday, and the motherfucker's annoyingly hard. So we're gonna try it again this Wednesday and see if it works out. And then after that, from what I understood I'll be done with No More Heroes 1, and then I'm probably gonna start No More Heroes 2 after that.
Did you play it before?
I didn't. I didn't beat the game before. I played it, but I didn't beat the game the first time. So this will be my first time.
So what's your impressions of it now that you've played it all?
Combat system is fun as hell, but I hate the one thing I'll tell you is that I don't know how much of the structure of the game you know about, Juice, but the simple premise is this: you have to earn money through mini games to get enough money to buy your way to the next level to fight like the next assassin, and that's kind of the process through the whole game. You do a bunch of mini games, you earn money, and then you can go fight the next. You can go do the next like story level. The only thing I really fucking hate about the game, I'm surprised it has such a good open world considering it's like a Wii game. But the one thing I can't stand is that you can't retry missions. So like if you fuck up on a mission, you have to go back to the damn building where they give out the missions, reselect the mission, and then drive all the way back to do the mission. That's like my least. That's like the only major criticism I have. The combat is fun as hell. Well, I'll say there's one other thing. I don't like the lock on. It does that thing where if you lock on, but if you do like a dodge, you de-lock on from the character. So like you get disoriented if you try to relock on again. But combat is great. Fucking love the combat. Combat is absolutely worth it, and for no other reason.
What are you playing it on?
Switch.
Okay. How does the combat work? Motion?
No, well, you can do it. You have they have button controls and motion controls. I think if you played it on the Wii, most people played it like with the Wiimote, where you slash like that.
I thought that was the only way to play it on Wii.
Mm-mm. But on the Switch, you can use traditional
use buttons or the analog. How do you do the directions of the swipe? Just
right analog stick.
Okay, so it's like
Skyward Sword thing
almost.
Kind of, but not nowhere near as like 1-to-1. Like the basic swipes you can do button presses for, but if you wanted to like do a finishing blow, it'll slow down time, and then you can use the right analog stick to do like the finishing slash to the side or down or up or whatever. You also do that if you're doing the wrestling moves, because I think with the Wiimote you would have to do this. You have to go up or down, left or right to do the cool like wrestling moves. But everything else is just like traditional button pressing. But I was pleasantly surprised by the first game. So once I beat Henry on Wednesday, I'm going right into 2. That way I should have that done by the 27th when the third game comes out.
Did you start Super Metroid?
Not yet.
No.
I've been distracted because I've also had The World Ends With You.
That's right.
That I've been playing. So I've been enjoying the fuck out of that. But I'm trying to keep my thoughts and opinions on that one hush hush, because I do plan to do a review, because I know a lot of people ask me, like, yo,
I've honestly seen zero gameplay, zero footage. I've never seen a trailer. I've never seen an announcement trailer or a review or anything for it.
I'll say this, from what I heard through the grapevine, it did not sell well, and I'm a little bummed out by that. That's what I've heard. And so I don't know if that was because of the weird shortage copies issue, or that's just because
I've seen it at Best Buy. I've seen both versions in stock at my Best Buy.
Okay. So I know it didn't do well in this first like week or two. So week or two, it didn't do that great sales wise. So
you know what did do well sales wise is the Switch, Mario Kart 8, Animal Crossing, Smash.
Did you already look at?
I've already seen the top 10.
Damn it!
I think we all, because someone shared it in the chat. So because Ring Fit jumped into the top 10, kicked out New Super Mario Bros. But I didn't see below 10. I'm guessing New Super Mario Bros. Is 11. I didn't see any of the other numbers, so I don't know. Really.
So do you know how much they sold, or you just know that?
Yep, I saw that. So
I could look casually while we're talking.
Now that I've played Bowser Fury and 3D World, I'm curious, because I think that was the last quarter. That had only been out. No, wait, when did that come out? February. So it only been out for a little bit. And I feel like it was already at like 3-4 million. After the last quarter, but this is the end of the half of the year numbers, and I do believe the Switch numbers were updated to current. It wasn't just from to the end of June, from what I.
Apparently,
Pokemon Snap numbers.
Let me check. Hold on.
I'm very curious.
Also, side note: apparently, they decided to mention how the Switch is outsold officially the PS3 and Xbox 360. So. Let's see. That's online. That's Mario Golf. Where the hell is?
Yeah, usually they show like most of the like over 1 million, but then they skip every once in a while. I mean, they skip some games for no reason.
Oh, they said new Pokemon Snap currently is at, well, I guess at the end of this quarter is at 2.07 million.
I was hoping it would be at 2 million. That's literally okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's it.
Apparently, Miitopia sold over 1 million, and Mario Golf is a little bit over that. It's like at 1.34.
But that just came out. Like that was.
They're doing pretty good then. If that's pretty.
Fast.
That was less than a month. That was like
it's pretty nuts. Is there any other games we need to check for?
3D World came out this.
That would have been last quarter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but they should have updated numbers for everything.
Let's see if they mention it. Let's see.
They usually cover like the 2 million plus. They have more than just the top 10.
Right.
What did that do?
Sword and Shield was at like 23.
No, Skyward Sword.
Oh, Skyward Sword's too
Skyward
soon.
Sword.
That just came out in July. So
Yeah, it just came out. I don't think it has.
It wouldn't have been.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have official numbers yet because it's only been like.
I have a feeling that game is gonna do way more than it's allowed to.
Well, wait. What is okay? What
do you
would
think's
you
way
consider
more?
too
I
much?
think anything over 5 million's.
If it gets over 2 million, I'd already be kind of salty, but I think it's doing that easy.
I think it'll get 2 million just because it's Zelda.
Yeah, that's why.
No one liked that
It's
game
not even
on the Wii.
No, God. Jesus.
$600
Okay.
Wii U ports. I don't know.
That's the top 10, but give me the damn. I want it.
So, 89 million. They'll probably do another probably 15 million this year, and that's the other thing. There was 20 Best Buys. The one I think I mentioned it last week. There was 20 Switches at my Best Buy, which is a small store. We usually don't have, huge quantities, and there was 20 Nintendo Switches on the shelves. I don't know if they have all their stock out. And then I went back on Saturday, or was it Friday? Friday or Saturday, I bought an Apple 4K TV 4K box, and I looked, and I think there was maybe one less Switch. So I mean, they don't have a supply shortage. So I think with the games that are slated to come out, I don't think there's a huge system seller left for this year. I mean, Metroid's been
Metroid would probably be the last.
That's not like a huge system seller franchise.
Maybe Pokemon.
It's a huge game, but in no way has Metroid ever been a system seller.
Pokemon would be.
I guess the Pokemon remake.
Oh yeah, that one, yeah. That's.
But at this point, I don't know that a bunch of people.
I hate the fact that it is, but that is probably what.
I mean, I feel like most of the Pokemon fans probably already have a Switch.
Oh, I got the Mario 3D World numbers. It's 6.68 million.
Okay.
Fuck.
So I think that sold 4 million on Wii U. I think it was just over 4.
That's a lot considering it came out February, January.
God damn!
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, that's a lot.
At least they put something into it.
It deserves it, but fuck.
I'm glad that they put in, even though it's 4 or 5 hours to 100%. I'm glad they put in a game mode of at least that's pretty substantial for. You talk about just getting a definitive or a port of a game. You usually don't get that much new content. It's like, oh, you can play as Funky Kong, or, I guess the Hyrule Warriors is probably the next best one, or maybe still the best one with the 3DS content. So I can't, like I said, in my juice opinions, I can't be mad. I don't think I've ever been mad at the 3D World release because of Bowser's Fury. If it had just been 3D World and some little minor thing at 60, then yeah, I would have been just as pissed as most of the others. So I don't mind that that's sold as well, considering it actually put. I'm guessing they had at least a year in the Bowser's Fury, if not a little bit more.
We're never getting new fucking games.
But yeah, that's the problem. So sad. At least we already had a new 3D Mario. That's the other thing. We already had Odyssey, so it came after the new game.
Yeah, at that point, I guess, and I think we brought this up kind of with Metroid too. Are you really as mad about it when you had a new game with it? It's kind of like if we knew about Dread when, let's say, I don't know, Blast Ball came out. It kind of softens the blow of the.
I love it how you talk about Metroid, but you're like Blast Ball.
I couldn't. I mean, what the only other game I could have mentioned is Samus Returns, and I think people were pretty happy with Samus Returns.
Well, let's talk about I think Nintendo's been tweeting Metroid stuff consistently for weeks. I'm not talking about just the trailers. I'm talking about this year, Metroid 2 Samus Returns released on the Game Boy. It's like they're doing this for all the games. Like, it's been nonstop. All the Nintendo of Europe, Nintendo of America, and it's just like the history of Metroid. It's like, man, I don't think any other game on Switch or any other franchise anniversary for during the Switch generation has got anything even close to this attention on Twitter. Like, I'm actually impressed. They're really.
I think a big reason for that is like what Terrell just said. Zelda fucking sells just by the name. Mario, it sells just by the name. Metroid is just not at that level. So I think they're pushing it with everything they got so that people get the new one. And then in the long run, when Prime 4 hits, it's going to be like a second wave of sales and shit. Like they should push this. But I mean, I don't want to do that, but I even fucking unfollowed Rule of Two temporarily because even
It was so
Nintendo,
much.
even Nintendo themselves are just posting shit that in my book is already spoilers. They're like one day it's like, oh, new canon, this new story, this new. It's like, oh, whoa, let me discover this shit. You know, like it's just
Yeah, I saw that
too much
fucking.
shit.
I saw that teaser they did, and I'm like, oh no, this is like a lot of cutscenes, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
this is actually that last one was pretty dangerous. I'm like, all right, I can't watch that else.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. Like, I want to be able to like go into that universe and have this shit like wow me as I'm playing it. And I don't like it when you're just showing me every weapon that's in the game, the whole story and stuff. And like, I like Rule of Two and shit, you know. But like every fucking video, and this bitch posted like fucking 20 Metroid videos in the last month or some shit like that, you know. And but it's in the
Jesus.
titles and in the good and in the thumbnails, and even Nintendo's doing the same with like fucking trailers that autoplay as you scroll over them and shit. This is way too dangerous.
I appreciate it only because I like the fact that they're beating their chest about Metroid. Which, let's be real here, that hasn't happened in a long time. So I'm glad that A, they have a game that they think is worth beating their chest about, and two, that it's a Metroid game.
Yeah.
So
it deserves it. That's a great fucking franchise.
I'm glad they're at least giving it its props. I feel like this might be Samus's renaissance, especially if Prime 4 is like, oh, it's coming out June of next year. You're like, whoa, shit. All right, this is what we're doing. All right, bet.
Midnight Owl said Retro is short-staffed tonight. I don't know what that means. It must be a personal thing.
Oh,
we're short-staffed.
That's what she said. I thought she was talking to you.
No,
I feel like Juice read that the way he wanted.
No,
to
just kidding.
Oh yeah, of course.
I was just kidding.
Did you hear Retro? You're short.
That shit was
staff.
funny though. Yeah, it is just
talking about my staff on here.
It's surprising to see.
God.
And I've always had this stance, and I still do. The Metroid thing. If Nintendo or the developer themselves shows something, I don't consider that a spoiler. If they showed it to me, that tells me they don't think it's a spoiler. There's probably some major spoiler stuff they could show. What they're showing, I have faith that the developer's not going to show you too much. In a little 30-second clip. I just don't think. So I've never, as long as it's the official, whoever's making the game showcasing a thing like a story trailer or something.
I will say, I learned the hard way that is not true, because I remember back in the 3DS days, Game Freak did that with Sun and Moon, and it fucking made people so sad. They essentially spoiled every new Pokemon in the game.
Really?
Yeah, they kept putting out trailers. Here's 5, here's 10, here's 15, here's 20. By the time we got to release date, you knew every main Pokemon in the game, and I was like, "Oh, come on, yo, that's like half the fun of the game."
Okay,
that generally bummed me out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, for example, because I'm the guy. I consider spoilers very easily. I'm very like I tread lightly with that shit. Anything for me is a spoiler if I don't know it, you know. But if you like, for example. They're selling Metroid Dread, okay? On like the Dread, you gotta run from the robots and shit. And then here's this super mega beam you got to fight it. I'm like, oh, okay, well that removes kind of the Dread for me. Like I didn't need to know that mega super beam.
Yeah, but in the treehouse, that happens in the first 5 minutes of the game.
That's not even my issue.
That stuff. I watched for like 1 minute.
My issue is that they start showing shit with the Chozo towards the end of the recent teaser they threw out. Now, to be fair, it's kind of buried in a tweet, but if obviously people are gonna look through it, it's fucking Metroid if you're interested.
It'd be one thing to watch that versus watch Game Explain and analyze it. Like to me, I just watched it. I didn't see anything. It's like, oh my god, I didn't want to see that. Like I didn't personally see anything. And like I said, that beam thing, that's literally the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me.
I don't think that anything happens in the beginning of the game as a spoiler. Because it's a one-time, you have to, like, special occasions get that charged up. So it's not like
I would agree with the beam thing. I think I wouldn't count that either.
So that's almost like the debate.
I'm very light with that stuff always. Once I know I want to get a game, I don't look up anything else, and everything I learn, no matter through how and what way, is a spoiler to me.
See, we had a debate a couple months ago when I mentioned Resident Evil Village that Lady D was a boss in the game, and like
I don't understand how that's considered.
I was shocked that you guys considered that a spoiler, but considering you already knew that she follows you around like Mr. X. I guess you never played Resident Evil 2 or their new one, but it's like to me a main villain, a boss fight in a Resident Evil game. So I was shocked that you guys considered that a spoiler.
I don't know how you could consider that a spoiler.
See, everybody's different on that. Remember when
how is that considered a spoiler? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
But remember when E3 was up, and because now Juice is saying everything Nintendo posts is not a spoiler. And Robert was like, Mario and Rabbids is revealed and shit. And Juice like, oh, that's a fucking spoiler. But Nintendo said it themselves.
That was an accident. That was an accidental
post. See,
that wasn't on their Twitter account. That was something on their store page that popped up. You know, that was an accident. That's a little bit
different. They made
different.
the page go live too quickly.
Yeah, they put, that one where I wasn't mad at Robert because in his mind that was Nintendo's official store or whatever. So I guess there is some gray area there, but for me, if it's like we put out a YouTube trailer for 30-minute or a 30-second YouTube trailer, I'm going to watch it if I'm looking forward to a game. I know there's a lot of people that don't watch movie trailers. As soon as they know they want something, they'll stop. I watch every trailer for every movie I'm looking forward to, like every single trailer up until the launch. I don't know why. I've never thought about it until I think it was during the Resident Evil thing. I think that's when it actually clocked. It mentioned something. I'm like, yeah, I watch every trailer for every movie. Like if I'm excited about a movie, I can't wait for the new trailer. The trailer 2's out. Oh, it went right before it launches. Trailer 3 pops up. I'm gonna watch it. Like I don't know. For me, that's always been a thing. I always watch all the trailers for things that I'm looking forward to, whether it's movies or video games. But in stark contrast, I was the guy who wouldn't go looking at in the house for Christmas presents early. Like I know Terrell did. I never would go look. I never looked for my presents. Yeah. I just wanted to wait for Christmas morning. I didn't want to know. So it's like I'm that guy, but I'm also the guy who watches every trailer for, like Breath of the Wild. I watched every trailer. I watched the treehouse footage. I watched the treehouse footage twice over. Everything they showed twice before the game came out. Like I couldn't get enough.
Now, to be fair, I would say I was like that. The traditional like I don't want to see nothing when I hit a certain point. Like actually, when the World Ends With You trailers, I was seeing those. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna watch like the last like 3 or 4 of them because now they're gonna get into shit that I would lose my mind over if I just saw in the game. And then I saw it in the game and went, yeah, I'm so glad I didn't watch the trailers. I would have been so fucking pissed. I feel like companies, there's a line where companies are like, I'm confident in showing off my game because it's coming out soon and I want you to buy it. And then it just turns into, look at all this cool shit in the game. Look at this and that and this. And I'm like, at a certain point, we're like, hold up. You've crossed the line here.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that yet.
I can agree that there are times like Batman versus Superman. I didn't think them showing Doomsday was necessary, but at that point they were desperate because people didn't want to go see the movie. So I think they did that as a desperation attempt. So for me, I was already gonna go see it, so I was bummed. But I got a comment on 12 Feet Tall. I don't know if you're just trolling, but you don't seem to like any game. Resident Evil.
What's the issue?
Resident Evil Village it's not as good as I wanted it to be, but the first section in the mansion castle, whatever, that's really good. I don't know if you got past that point. There's one area that's very horror based, and then most of it's more action based.
What is your favorite section in Village?
The castle in the beginning.
Okay, see that's what most people, from what I've seen, most people agree with.
I wish the whole game was that. I wish the whole game was built around that.
I think that's the reason why they find it a disappointment, because it starts off strong and then it kind of just like it doesn't get. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it looks like it just kind of peters out.
Well, that's literally a quarter of the game or less. It's like there's 4 areas in the game, kind of like Resident Evil 4. You had the starting village, and then you had like the big lake area, and you had I want to say like in like a canyon with like I don't. It's been a while since I played it, but you know like get off my boy. Yeah, you're the one saying that he don't like Shat T. Um, but it has
Damn.
areas. It's broken into like 4, maybe 5 areas. And then a couple of those areas are not. You can't go back to. Once the story gets to a point, you can't backtrack.
Or locks you out of it.
So you're like, there's fish and stuff that I didn't shoot for resources, so I could upgrade things, and I couldn't go back. So anyway, it's not going to be in my game of the year contention. That's what I'll just say that. It might have to be if I only play like 2 more games. It'll almost have to be in my number 5. But I'm trying to figure out what games are left that I could buy that might fill out my my
Metroid for sure.
Metroid.
So I look.
Well, right now I'm at Bowser's Fury, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal are the 3 games I played for 2021. So I got
last string of games we got, at least Nintendo wise, I look is oh man, the only 2 on here is probably Advance Wars and Metroid, I think.
So I'm getting Metroid and probably that Kena Bridge of Spirits.
When does that come out?
September. They keep pushing it. I don't know if it's September 21st. I don't know if they keep pushing it because it's supposed to be August.
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought it was supposed to be earlier than that.
Hopefully that turns out.
There's going to be Tales from Arise.
Oh, that's right.
I think that's like September as well. Holy shit,
wait.
Man.
I'm gonna wait to see what the reviews are for that because that looks really good.
It's sexy.
It looks really good, but I'm paranoid. I've been like on a really ridiculous RPG kick, and it's primarily just been a lot of them. I had Bravely Default at the beginning of the fucking year. I runs with you, fucking. Well, Advance Wars is not really RPG. It's more like tactics, but still, it scratches the
like tactical turn-based RPG.
Isn't that December?
I think it still counts.
Yeah, that's December.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't count it
And then
since
Pokemon in January.
They're literally. I mean, Advance Wars is, from what I can tell, it's just 1-to-1 with the same maps and stuff. So I don't think it's any kind of new content in there. So even if I got
I didn't play the original. That's the reason why I brought it.
So for me, it's like
you don't even know yet because they haven't shown the second game in there yet. You've seen barely anything.
I've seen comparisons. What they did show was 1-to-1 with the Game Boy as far as the layout and the enemies.
Yeah, it was.
The dialogue, everything.
I like what I saw for sure.
So
let me look to see what else.
Metroid Dread for sure. Kana's like one of those. I'm gonna wait for reviews because it looks great. But if it turns out it's like a 3-hour game.
Did you see the traversal gameplay they showed of Kana?
Yeah, I thought
walking around like swinging and stuff.
I thought the gameplay looked solid and
it does look good.
GameStop.
I know you love that Uncharted climbing.
GameSpot had actual hands-on and said that it's pretty varied in its combat and gameplay. So I'm looking forward. Death's Door, Game of the Year contender. That's the one Robert I think mentioned.
Death's Door.
Here's the thing, this is kind of another topic. Robert's not here to defend. I don't know. I know he's big into he got more into the like small indie games, or because he's playing so many games now and he's seeing the value and even the smaller games. And I'm at a point now. You could say I'm not salty's not the word I'm looking for. Back 2013, 2014, 2015, I used to watch all the indie showcases and oh man, that looks good. That even 2017, I remember the Switch. That looks good. And then the games come out and a couple I picked up and I'm just nothing special. They look art style wise or they have a very good showing, but it's the gameplay is the tough thing for game developers to get right. It's easy to make an art style that's draws you in like that what was that one on the Xbox showcase, that really cool pixel art with like almost like a
I know what you're talking about. I forget what it's called.
I know which one you mean,
but it's like looks amazing. I remember what was it, Blasphemous or something, looked absolutely amazing. Then it comes out, I'm watching reviews and I'm like, that doesn't sound fun at all. Like I think that's one of those, and Trell, you're out of focus. I think that's one of those games where it's like super punishing if you die. I can't remember what it was, but someone described the gameplay and I was just like, yeah, that's a hard pass. And the ones on Wii U, there you go. I bought Typo Man on Wii U. Looked awesome idea. It's shit to play. Like I did not enjoy playing that. Affordable Space Adventure. It was pretty good. And I just got to the point now where I'm not even gonna get excited about how it looks because I'll wait until the actual game comes out. I want to see and hear the game about the gameplay. I'm kind of like I'm more skeptical than I guess most people when it comes to these indie showcases now. Even Celeste, which was a really good game, nowhere near the level of accolades it was getting. I feel like it was kind of like Shovel Knight. It's better than Shovel Knight for me, but Shovel Knight was getting Game of the Year contention nominations and stuff, and I'm like, you guys play the same game as me? Like yeah, it's a cool retro game. I mean, it's a solid game, but it's not that game. Like I was just like, I was shocked. So that's why with these indie showcases, I stopped letting myself get excited based on how they look. There is some really cool art styles though going on. There's a lot of really creative use of pixel arts and what's the other voxels and stuff. There's some really cool looking indie games. But especially if it's a full 3D game, that's when I get super cautious about my excitement. Because full 3D game seems to kind of be the crossing the line for these indie games as far as their talent and skill. I think there's only been a few that have actually pulled it off. So yeah,
very talent and skill. A lot of stuff is just over ambitious
Yeah,
for what people are
exactly.
capable of doing.
We got a small team, and you're doing this
Yeah,
3D game, and I mean even as cool as Robert's little clips he's posted of Sackboy. If I rewatch like the little time trial things, like it looks like gold levels.
Yeah.
So I watched it a few times. The first time I was like, damn, that looks sweet. But then I watched it again. I'm like, man, that looks a lot like Ukulele's the Impossible Layer game, the 3D overworld maps, which is very basic, limited movement.
You want to know? You want to know what it really reminds me of though?
Hmm.
Like a bare bones version of 3D World. That's what it reminds me.
I
of.
mean, game visually, but I'm talking just watching how he jumps and moves, and I'm like, I think I played enough platformers to get a good idea by looking at it how it plays, and Robert said it definitely feels closer to the Impossible Layer stuff I was talking about than it does 3D World, and that's what was that, Sumo Digital I believe made that with the Sony IP. I mean they're a pretty established team. They made the Sonic racing games and stuff, and even they can't absolutely nail the gameplay in a 3D platformer. So it's like that's why I'm always skeptical when an indie team's trying to do.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where you give them the credit for at least trying to do something, and it's a pretty strong attempt. But like, it's kind of almost like if you play better games, it doesn't really hit you the same way it's supposed to. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I feel like that's the problem.
It's hard for me to just turn off all my past experiences and just appreciate the effort, knowing only 2 or 3 people made it. Like I have trouble just saying, like, yeah, I know only 3 people made this, so I'll cut them some slack. I mean, if it's a fun game or if it's not a super fun game, I don't care if only one person made it. Like it doesn't mean anything at that point. Now, if it's an amazing game, like Hollow Knight, and you find out only a couple people worked on it, like 10 people total with the music
That's
and all
bonus
that,
almost.
then I'm like, damn, that's impressive. But then like Axiom Verge, that's a really good game. I really enjoyed that. That was made by one person, did everything. It's like, so that's impressive. Clocked It didn't like it as much as I thought he would. I really enjoyed it back when I played it, when it was 2015 or whenever I played it. I haven't gone back to it, and I think the sequel may even came out. I don't remember. Like, I guess I didn't pay much attention. I didn't like it to the point where I was like, oh, I gotta have the next game. Same with Guacamelee. Like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't need to run out and buy the sequel. But SteamWorld Dig, on the other hand, I'll definitely be there day one for number 3 if they make one. So, man, I guess it's just going to be us 3 for the rest of the night. Oops.
Hey, man, we can swing it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
We've been swinging it.
What
exactly.
else?
I did go back and I wanted to compare and contrast the last Switch sales to like the current ones.
Oh,
Just
first
to
I
see
gotta
how
answer
much-
CK. No, it wasn't
Yeah,
the
go
last
ahead.
night. It wasn't the last night. It was like, what was it called? Start with an R. That cool 2D sprite looking, or 3D looking sprite game.
Resurgence. It had like a fancy name like that.
I feel
Something
it had.
cool
It was like a
sounding.
single word. I believe it had
Yeah.
an R.
Something cool sounding.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
But anyway,
See,
what were you starting?
So I decided to go back and look at the last. I think February was the last time we got like sales. So I wanted to see how much things had really changed between last time
Well,
and
the
this
last
time. Obviously,
the Switch sales.
the game's more so than the
Well,
Switch
they
only went up
upgraded-
10. The Switch only sold an extra like 10 million.
They always
Between-
update about a month after the quarter end, so we had something in April or late April, early May for the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, I think that was Snap actually.
That should have been the last update of numbers.
But Snap wasn't. I don't think Snap was included because it was too. It was too
Oh,
new.
yeah, that-
pretty much like what Skyward Sword will be for this quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to jump between just to see how much do you think Mario Kart 8 jumped up by between February since the beginning of this year. When did the quarter end? Was that July?
Well, it
Is that
was
when
at like 33 the previous replaced. That's the number, CK. Replaced was the name of that game.
Oh, okay.
The last update they had for Animal Crossing had just crossed 30, and Mario Kart was at like 34, 33 or 34. That was the last update.
I'm surprised how well you remember that.
Yeah, because I thought Animal Crossing would have passed it, and you guys, because it was Animal Crossing just hit 30, and Mario Kart was at like 33.
Yeah, most of them I'm actually comparing between. It looks like a jump primarily of about 2 million for each, except for Mario. Mario Kart went up like 4 million. Almost everybody else
That just blows my mind. That, I mean, this game, it's obviously gonna hit over 40, but can it hit 50? Like,
it depends on what they do. I would say next year will determine if it can hit 50. Because if you're gonna,
it's an old ass game and it's on a fucking 50% install base. It's like that's ridiculous.
I mean, it's pretty much
50% of people who bought a Switch own fucking Mario Kart.
I mean, my neighbor, that's the first game he was talking about after he got a Switch for his kids.
Well, I mean, because Mario Kart is a fan favorite. It's an IP that's lasted. It's one. It's very well-known IP.
It's without a doubt the best game in the franchise. It deserves it still, but I mean,
it is the best. Yeah, I would.
You weren't here, Terrell, when we were talking about just how much money they could have made by putting out a DLC for it. Mario Kart 8 like a year ago.
Why not? Why not? Millions of people are buying this shit every month still. Just fucking releasing a new pack.
No. You're right, but realistically, considering how much money they're making not doing it.
Well, they could make more. They could make more their money and then some for whatever development it would cost to make.
Well, here's the question: if they put out the DLC, would you, I know Juice doesn't believe we're gonna get 9 until the next console, right?
I still believe that.
Okay. Retro, would you then, if they put out DLC for 8, would you believe that 9 isn't coming till the next console?
If they release DLC for 8 and it's like substantial like what they did last time and shit, in that case, I will concede, and I do not see them putting up 9 on this.
I would hope that it would only
be the next console without a doubt.
I'm glad they aren't.
I feel like Nintendo isn't doing it because even they're kind of embarrassed about it, and they're like, man, do we really?
They're embarrassed about it.
Well, not like, do we really want to like add new DLC to like a 20-year-old game?
I think they're like, we're making so much money, we don't need to really spend any more money.
It's over 7 years since it came out now. I mean, it's came out May 29th of 2014.
Yeah, I feel like it was like this game is made beyond what it needed to do at this point. At this point, we're just
it's probably one of the most profitable games of all time, I think. Deluxe, especially because of the development cost being so. What other port? I know Grand Theft Auto 5 probably number 1 because it.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto.
But I feel like they put, just judging off what I've seen of the PS4 and Xbox One version, I feel like they put a lot more work into Grand Theft Auto 5 port than Nintendo did in this, other than the new content, which wasn't a whole lot. Some characters and stuff. Well, the battle mode was the bulk of it, but
Yeah.
they didn't go back and rework the visuals and really take advantage of the hardware, from a visual graphic standpoint. So, and then GTA Online, I guess, still.
Yeah, I was like GTA Online is probably what sells like.
That's what's making them all their money. I mean, I don't give a shit if GTA 5 ever shows up on the Switch, but the fact that they didn't put it out, this game that's already made them billions of dollars. Like, who cares if it costs them $2 million to make a Switch version?
Feel like
they've already made so much freaking money.
The irony is, I don't even think it's an issue of wanting to buy the game. It's more of like its principle. It's like, bruh, you've made all this money and you have this console in here at almost 100 million, and you're sitting there going, I don't want to put it on there.
That's
What?
the point. Like, you don't need to do
Why
it for
not?
money. Just do it for the gamers and shit, Like, people want
Well, I
that.
think-
Well, people always said, "Well, why would they? It won't even sell 1 million copies. Who cares?"
I don't.
They've already
believe
made
that at all,
billions of dollars off that game.
I also don't believe that to be true at all. I
It's
think they
gonna
would
sell.
be.
It's gonna
I
sell
would
like
love
fucking
to.
crazy.
I don't care. Like I said, I bought it on 360. I'll never buy it again. I didn't even finish it. I don't care personally about the game. I don't think it's.
It's the principle. To me, it's the principle.
It was on the 360. It was a tech showcase. It was Flight Simulator to me. I just got in planes constantly and flew in the dynamic weather and day and night cycle. That was my biggest enjoyment of that game. But you would think if anybody's going to really wow somebody with a third party port, like, you would think that Rockstar almost would feel like motivated to be like, hey, this is what we can do, because what they did on the 360 was impressive. There's no arguing the Switch has more capabilities. It doesn't have the high clock speed CPU of the 360, but I think I would just really like to see what they could do. Would it be another Witcher 3 situation where it's really visually sacrificed? It should look better than the 360 version. It should. You don't have to push for 60. It could be 30 frames, and it should look better than the 360 version, which was pretty impressive, and especially on the small screen. It's just for me. It's just like I don't care if it ever comes, but it's just puzzling that they didn't do it.
I'll be real with you. To me, it's the inner Nintendo fan ego trip, where it's like, you can make the argument with the Wii U that, oh, well, the console didn't sell a lot, so that's the reason why we don't put games on it. With the Switch, you could make the argument that, okay, the games, it's not worth the money and cost to downgrade a game to put it on the Switch. But with things like 360 games, anything from the PS3 360 games, it should not be an argument whatsoever. Especially something like is GTA. I think that it bothers me because I'm like, there's no reason. There is absolutely
Why isn't Red Dead
no
1?
Reason.
Red Dead Redemption. You telling me people wouldn't be excited to have that game on a portable
Exactly.
system?
Stupid thing is it does actually happen, Trav, because what pissed me off is I was waiting for Skylanders Imaginators years back and stuff, and when it came on the Wii U, I think, instead of releasing just the PS4 version on it, it's fucking Skylanders. You need to do it. They got them released the PS3 version on the Wii U and shit. They do
I thought that shit. One of those Skylanders games with the little figurines with Bowser and stuff, I thought that game looked really good on Wii U.
It did look good.
It did look good. But the Imaginators one, it looked like garbage because they ported an old ass version of it instead of the current
first one.
I was so mad. I didn't finish it, and this is me. I didn't finish it because of how fucking bad it looked. It looked like a fucking blown up 3DS game and shit.
What was the one with the?
Wasn't there a 3DS version? I thought of Skylanders.
There's a 3DS version. Yeah, they did.
That's what I thought.
What was the one with Bowser and Donkey Kong called?
That's the Imaginators.
Turbochargers.
See, I saw a gameplay of that, and I thought it was PS4, and it was fucking the Switch.
They look good.
I mean, Wii U, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And it's weird because the Switch has been going through that currently, where we're just getting a bunch of 360 PS3 ports, where and I understand it in some aspects. I know because I know that was the argument about am I mad about? I think we had a podcast a while back.
Yeah, where I
mentioning-
talked about it doesn't add to the value of
The
the
only reason why I
library
said it-
for me, and you said it did for you.
Yeah, for me, it only mattered partially because Nintendo never got those IPs. Like, it's one of those things where, like, in retrospect, you realize how much the Wii missed out on. It's almost staggering. So, like, when I'm like, all right, we're catching up on the PS3 360 back catalog we never got, and then you got like a couple of games that are just hanging at the bottom, and you're just like, can we not get these at all? It's you almost have 100 million consoles, and you can't just give me the last couple of games.
Well,
I guess that's
the
what
problem I
irks me
have.
about the,
It's like,
Go ahead.
it's like, oh, we never had these. We never had Bioshocks and stuff. Well, that's all fine and dandy. You bring some of these old 360 PS3 games, but then you announce, or you have a new game out, and nothing like Borderlands 3. Like, oh, it's great you brought the Borderlands collection, but the new game was already out, Borderlands 3, and it's like, are you trying to build an audience, or are you just saying, well, this is all you're gonna get. This is the best we could do. Is the last generation, 2 generations ago game coming to your system, or randomly Saints Row the Third, and I don't know if 4 ever made it to the Switch. Just randomly
I
pop
thought
up.
it did.
LA Noire pops up for the Switch. Maybe that was a testing ground. And I'd be shocked. I'd be curious.
Yeah, Saints Row 4 made it to the Switch.
Is the people who were running Rockstar whenever the grudge happened with Nintendo even still working for that company? The people who worked at Nintendo aren't there anymore, the main people involved. I just don't see, unless I don't know anything about the head guy at Rockstar. They're owned by Take-Two, right? Or Take-Two Interactive?
Yeah.
You're telling me that the suits at Take-Two can't just say, yeah, you're putting that on the Switch. Like, I can't imagine a grudge from 20 years ago for Rockstar would actually go up the chain to Take-Two and be like, nah, we got this grudge. We hate Nintendo. Like, I would love to know if the same people still work for, in the.
I would like to believe it's not that deep, but people get real petty about dumb shit.
Yeah, but when there's millions of dollars on the table, I don't
You
think that
people-
stuff matters.
They don't care.
Some people just don't give a shit. They're like, we made it all this way without Nintendo. Why the hell do we need to do it now? I think that's the mentality.
Oh, maybe.
It's like, I didn't need them before. Why the hell do I need them now? I think it just bothers me.
Well, since we're talking about this,
go ahead.
these games coming, one of the companies who actually did what I was just saying, they just now announced the 3rd game after bringing 1 and 2 of Darksiders, and Battle Chasers, I believe, is the same company, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
So then they just announced Darksiders 3. So they gave the old games, and now 3 years late, they're bringing the 3rd game to the Switch. I don't remember what the date is.
Isn't it? Hold on.
September, I think.
Yeah, it's like September. It's like
September 30th.
So they actually followed
and
through.
it's cheaper. It's not.
And it's
full price.
$40. The only issue I have with that is it's been almost, by the time that comes out, it'll be like a month shy or 2 months shy of 3 years. It's like,
No,
what were they doing?
There's different reasons for that. And I'm gonna be like the biggest fucking biased fanboy here now, but I don't care.
At least you're
first
open
of-
about it.
First of all, THQ Nordic has been there for Nintendo like always. They were there for the Wii U when Nintendo even wasn't there in the Wii U anymore. They dropped like War Master and all that shit. They released all the Darksiders shit. Then the Switch came, they re-released the remasters for it and shit that they didn't before. You had like the SpongeBob and shit, Battle Chasers. They were there. The problem with Darksiders 3 is when they were thinking about making 3, that was dead. Darksiders were dead. All the studios were dead. Everybody was fucking bankrupt. And then somehow from the grave, THQ and Nordic both came back and merged to make it work. And everything they had, they put it in Darksiders 3 and shit. Like, they literally had almost no fucking money to actually do what they did. So they were just making this game, I think, at that point, exclusive for the PS4 almost and shit. So I honestly do believe they didn't have the possibility to do it before that. And that resurrection of the company has been so insane with everything they've been doing, with all the games they've been making, pushing out, and they have been releasing everything on the Switch. And I just think now they probably have more of the budget to do it. They just couldn't before. I will not believe that they refuse to do it, considering how well THQ Nordic has been supporting the Nintendo, especially because they don't just port crappy shit over, like the War Master Edition, for example. Like you can choose like performance mode, graphics fidelity shit. They're like highly performant games, and they look the best they can. So yeah, it's 3 years late. I honestly thought they were never gonna release it. I thought it was way too late. They already released the game, it's been made and shit, like it's totally unoptimized to be on the Switch considering how old it was since they started making it. So I'm actually applauding them for still putting in the effort of releasing it on the Switch.
Yeah, and
it's hard not to at least give them credit. On top of that, they're also including a DLC with it.
and we don't know. They might have wanted this out 2.5 years ago, and it's just been, there's a debate about the length of time it takes to port these games, and a couple of the interviews I've listened to, like the guys who did Ori, and what was the other game? One of the other games, I was watching John Linneman interview them, and they were just like describing the process. Like Ori, they had to just redesign the whole I don't know if workflow is the right word, but the whole way the streaming system worked to get it to run on the Switch would actually benefited the Series X 4K 120 hertz version because they optimized it so well. But they had to put in the time and effort and actually reconstruct the way their game, I don't know, however the flow of from the data, whatever gets to the end result visual. I know Shadow Fox would probably tell us what the terms, but they had to just redesign that to work differently, so it could work on the Switch at 60 and have a decent looking decently high resolution and stuff, and it was an impressive port. But that's a lot of work, and I just don't know. Doom Eternal was probably the other one. Like if THQ, they're not the biggest. This game wasn't a huge success from what I can tell. So the fact that,
and on top of that, you also had Darksiders Genesis, which launched Borderline date on the Switch as well, which they also made at the same time they were doing SpongeBob, and all that stuff. Like they're fucking pumping shit out.
So it just makes me wonder if it's just the time was spent getting the game to work versus they wanted it, So it's just going back to that whole idea. Like if I don't know, we'll start talking about the Steam Deck now, because I think it kind of relates. Shit, I just read Shadow's comment and I lost my train of thought. Fuck.
Damn you, Fox!
Oh, the idea that I mentioned of an x86, similar architecture. If Nintendo had a popular system that also was x86 like the other systems, how much easier would that be for developers to put their games on it? And now that the Steam Deck exists, well, it's not out yet, but the hands-on previews are out, and that's an x86 PC architecture with a mobile chipset, 20 watts of power, probably more like the 2-hour battery life, they say 2 to 8, but still it kind of proves that you can have it's a pretty big device. It looks, I hear it's very comfortable. You can have
it's
portable.
It's a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
When I saw that image when you posted.
But you can have an x86 architecture. It's $400, 64 gigs. That's more than plenty for a Nintendo, like 64 gigs of internal memory. And so they've shown that you can have the same architecture as the big consoles and still be a $400 portable system. So now Nintendo's in a deal with Intel or Nvidia, for 10 years. So we're already on, year 5. So the next system's going to have to be Nvidia. I don't know what their system would be, their next chips that would be comparable to like the Steam Deck, but it just, I know 360 games were not, they weren't x86. It wasn't until the Xbox One, PS4. So I'm just saying, if if the Switch or Switch 2 or something was more, in line with what the Steam Deck's doing, but still games have to be optimized. You can't just throw a PC game on there. You have to optimize it. I would think developers would have a much easier time getting their game like Darksiders 3 to work on the same architecture. They just have to optimize it, take the time to optimize it. They might still have to do some rework and stuff, but I wouldn't think it would be to the same level, since they don't have to completely recode the game. So it's just a thought that this is an example of a company that likes to support Nintendo, but even then, it still took 3 years for this game to come out. So, and I would be curious to find out if, I doubt there'll be a developer interview for, such a game that's not as high tier, for like a Digital Foundry or something. But I would be curious I'm curious to see how it runs, see how it looks.
Curious to see what they did with it. Very curious.
So yeah, and somebody said, the Switch is what's the mobile ARM? It's an ARM architecture.
Yeah, ARM.
So Wii U is definitely more powerful than 360. Oh, somebody was saying that. Wii U wasn't in every way wasn't more powerful, because I know Shadow will. If you want to just brute for it, put a game on the Wii U, going from the 360 with its like super high clock speed CPU. If you didn't take the time to take advantage of the Wii U's different, like it's, what is it, the ERAM or whatever, or the cache, it had a slower clock speed. So if they didn't really optimize it, then you couldn't just take a 360 game, put it on Wii U, and expect it just to work. They had to really utilize its more unique features. And I know the Switch has the most power per core, but it doesn't have a lot of cores. It doesn't have as much RAM, and it has a lower end CPU. I'd just be curious, Shadow, since you're here. I asked a question and you never answered. Or you answered, but
I'm skimming his thing, which is mentioning how Switch has the best CPU, but it has
per core, but it has way less.
But it has way less RAM and has a weaker GPU.
I asked the question, and I made a whole video about this, about the Switch OLED. If it ran,
oh see. No, I got it.
How do you? I don't want to just hide. Can't you block somebody?
I'm gonna just put them in timeout for right now.
I thought you could just remove somebody. Let me check.
I don't know if you can remove them, but hold on. This is what happens. We get derailed. It's fucking bullshit.
There. That should be good enough.
In timeout in hell. See you in hell.
So
fucker.
Shadow, my idea about the Switch OLED, and I didn't word it correctly because I mentioned the GPU running at the dock speed if you in portable mode, but I meant every aspect, the RAM and the GPU. You lift the Switch OLED off the dock and it doesn't change at all. It just it doesn't switch to a lesser power. It runs in the exact
it still pushes itself as if it's the
so dock. It thinks it's dock. So when you put it back in, nothing changes. It just your battery life would be the sacrifice. And I just wondered what you thought the hit to battery life would be, and what if you thought that would be enough to make the Switch OLED 7-inch screen. Jesus Christ!
Oh wow, we got hold. This is what we doing tonight, baby. It's time.
I already reported. I thought that automatically.
No, reporting does not. But I'm gonna time his ass out.
I already hid him from the channel. What the hell? I already fucking.
Oh no! Oh no! It's one of those nights.
Let me take it off.
What do we do, Mo?
Let me take the chat off the.
This is bad. Hold on.
I don't know who this fucking idiot is, but we'll just have to keep on it. T, where you at, man? Can you are you on your phone?
I think he is on this one.
How the hell does it keep popping up?
Because he's still in there. He's still in the participants.
I know,
Can
but
you
I'm
not kick him on your side?
This user's messages will be hidden. I think it's got a slightly different name each time.
Oh, is it? Oh, this is Hode.
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
You mod, Terrell?
He is.
I'm a mod, but I can't. All I can do.
He's hidden, and he's. I hit delete, and it's still.
He's still in the participants.
And I reported, so I think it's a different name, slightly different name each time.
This is bad though, because it means we can't. I thought there were other options.
I thought too. I thought you could just boot somebody.
Dang, this is bad.
Yeah, you can't. What the hell? I don't understand it. Why can't you?
That's crazy. And see, 300 seconds is only like.
I know, but I'm hiding him.
He's
from
not
the
even
channel.
doing that. Oh wait, you have to put him on a block list. Hold on.
I don't see that option.
Because it's not in the damn.
How many times do I have to hit hide user? Anyway, we got to get back to the podcast, and
you do that. I'm gonna research this real quick while you're.
I might have to do something on my end
because it's going. I know he's gonna keep going. That's troll life. That's how we go.
Yeah, you have to tell me.
If you were on Twitch, we could ban him.
I took the chat off the screen.
Well, that's actually smart too.
So anyway, I don't want you to have that Nintendo hardware card. Yeah, I was just asking Shadow Fox if you thought the Switch OLED running at full docked, if that would be enough on that 7-inch screen to elevate that to more of a closer to what people expect from like a PS4 game, but on the go.
I found it. When you go to settings and click community.
Where at? Am I?
Like if you're on you're pretty much just going through your YouTube settings. So like if you click like your icon at the top right screen, and then click settings.
I don't have a settings icon on the studios.
What is it? Oh no, go to YouTube Studios. That's fine. Go to Studio, and then on the left hand side, you should see settings towards the bottom of the screen, bottom left.
And then what?
Go to community, and then you see hidden users.
See, community's just on my channel.
No. It's just go to settings first, then go to community.
Yeah, I don't see community.
Damn it.
Sorry, people. Yeah, I don't even have a settings. Oh wait, over here in Studio, I don't even have a settings option.
Oh, I'm gonna screen cap my screen and send it to you, so you can see what I'm.
I think he might have left.
Did he leave?
I don't know. So I can go your channel, YouTube, switch account, or sign out. That's what I can do in Studio.
No, but on the left hand side, does it give you like
there's no
analytics
side.
I'm
in Studio. I'm in the live thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you. Hold on. I'll send it to you. I'll send you a picture of what I'm looking at.
All right, sorry, people. I'm trying to figure shit out here.
Hold on.
So I got a settings when I click my little icon with my name.
Oh, I'm gonna send it through Hangouts so you can see it.
So I got account, notifications, playback, performance, privacy, apps, billing and payment, advanced settings. Yeah, he took over the pocket. We've got to figure this out for next time, though.
Just to have it. Just so
I got advanced settings. I got account. I don't have the things you're talking about for sure.
Hold on.
Privacy, connected apps, billing, advanced settings.
Okay, hold on. It's uploading and it's in the. Okay, I showed it to you on Hangouts. If you look on Hangouts, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't have any of that. Oh, I got to go into manage. I think that's under the manage videos section.
Is it?
Manage videos. That's where I get analytics and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you'll see settings at the very bottom, and then and then go to community.
Wow, that's a roundabout.
It's stupid.
way.
Yeah, it's stupid as fuck.
So then what?
and then I think you just have to put his YouTube name in there.
Well, it's already shows as a hidden user.
You should still be able to see him, right?
Yeah, it says it's already in the hidden user thing.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get back to it. What I was saying is,
when it comes to everything, Terrell's like the chick from like NCIS or whatever. You know, he's like fucking on top of fucking got him everything always. And shit.
Basically, what I was saying, can't match PS4 unless Nintendo unlocks all 8. Well, I just meant like the handheld experience compared to like a TV experience. I think that would elevate the OLED to more respectable levels for playing games on the go. Like,
but that's not like a software update. That's like something in the actual hardware.
No, that would just be a OS update. When you pull the Switch off, it doesn't. I mean, it wouldn't work on the old OG Switch because your battery would be probably less than an hour.
Right.
But with that more efficient chip and a 9-hour battery life, you think you could make a sacrifice there. But let's talk a little bit, because T's not here. Oops. I'll put the chat back up. T's Mr. Steam Deck. What do you want to call him? Not fanboy, but he's the biggest Steam Deck advocate. That's the word I was looking for.
He's the Steam Deck rider.
Good one. So
let's go.
So a lot of YouTubers have been able to publish their hands-on event. I don't know when it actually happened, because I feel like IGN had one right away. I don't know if the other ones. Linus has one. Adam Savage tested, actually. They sent their guy who does like the VR discussions and stuff. He asked some really in-depth questions. So I was like, I'm not interested in it because it's the only appeal of it for me, in my opinion, is the portable side of it. Like, I'm not going to plug that in my monitors. It's not even,
not worth it.
It's not even worth it compared to my PC I have. So as a handheld, though, I find it very, very impressive. And the hands-on reports have all been pretty solid as far as comfort. You got the touch screen, you got the touchpads, you got the analog sticks. It's got all kinds. You can plug a mouse in instantly. His Linus used the USB Type-C USB hub. His mouse worked instantly. Very impressive. And he actually was able to bring a competing. I didn't know there was other mobile CPU, not CPUs, PCs. He called it something. It's like it wasn't AIO, but it was something. I don't know if it was a Japanese or Chinese name. And it was a comparable same size screen, and it was more slimmer and less grips to it. And it run Doom Eternal on the same settings, 720p medium settings at like 25, 30 frames per second. And the Steam Deck in the exact same settings in the same area was like 45, 50, 55. It was a significant increase, and it runs basically uses the same power, same amount of power, so it's a way more efficient CPU and GPU. And I was like, damn, like, I'm sure Doom Eternal's shown because they know that's probably one of the better ones, so that's why they were kind of featuring that one. They couldn't show certain games, the people that were testing the Steam Decks, and that was one of the biggest, most notable. They didn't really talk about The Witcher 3, even though it was there. And I was just like, man, I'm really impressed. I'm hearing good things about the comfort. What the hell was that? Sound like something just fell.
Fuck was that?
The ergonomics. The things like, the grips are like, they're compared to the Switch, it's probably like 3 switches thick or 4, the height of the grips, like sitting on a table, and and that's what I want. That's what I want to see. That I might even like handheld gaming if it was comfortable, And it also had gyro, and it seems to be really slick. I gotta say, I'm impressed. And then apparently, the 64 gig, which just has, I think it's a similar memory to the Switch memory. It apparently still has the NVMe M.2 solid state drive slot in it. Like they didn't. It's still there. It's just empty. So people are already speculating that you'll be able to buy that cheaper unit for 400 and put a M.2 like the PS5 basically. Put a M.2 in there and have a terabyte, of to put your games on, and have the operating system run off that other memory, and it would actually make it even more efficient. So I'm kind of excited. The one thing that T was saying that he didn't from Linus's video, he didn't I don't know if didn't hear him right or something. It outputs to your monitor when you if you were put it on your desk. The output signal's 4K 60 hertz, but the games don't run at 4K 60. They were running Doom at 720p native medium settings, and it was between 45 to 60. It wasn't a lock 60. That was at medium. If they put it on low or adaptive resolution on it, it might have been lock 60. So that's what the docked experience is going to be, because according to what they said, it runs at its full. There's no downclocking in portable mode, even to the battery's low. Apparently,
so it'll be like locked. 30,
that's what they said. There's no downclocking to the CPU GPU currently. That's their plan, is to have it just run at its normal. It might throttle down or something, depending on the game or what you're doing. It's not going to run at full clock speed if you're just on the main menu. So
right.
So because it has a 4K 60 hertz signal going to your monitor, that's like the Wii U had a 1080p 60 hertz signal 100% of the time going to my TV. But almost none of the games, except for Smash, as the only one I know for sure, ran at 1080p 60. Almost all Wii U games ran at 720p 60, and some ran at 720p 30. So just because the output signal is 4K 60, that there's no way games are going to even come close to that on your on a monitor. So it's just, that's basically just its signal output. The PS5, I use that example. That's 4K. It shows up as 4K 120 on my TV, but the only game I've played at 120 hertz was Doom Eternal. All the other games I'm playing at 60. Just because the PS5 signal output's 120 doesn't mean the game runs at 120. The game will run at whatever. If it's 30, like if I played Bloodborne, it'll be 1080p 30. Even though the PS5 signal technically is 4K 120. So, but
right.
Either way, I'm kind of excited. I wish I was a handheld gamer, because I think it's really cool, and I'm kind of found myself watching every impressions video I could find, and I didn't think I even cared. Seriously.
Oh, you care. You'll get one.
I didn't think it was that appealing, because I don't game in handheld. So I don't know. Retro, has anything changed? I know you were kind of curious about it. I don't know if you watched any of the hands-on stuff, but it sounds pretty promising.
I still want to watch some of the hands-on stuff. I didn't know that much of it was out. But I know you say a lot, you wanted handheld, but I'm a simple man. I want to dog that bitch. That's why I want it. I want to be able. That's what I said last time. I want it. It'll be a couple of years before I buy it. I don't have a need for it. I have a PC and shit. But I really like the aspect of being able to just, throw myself down on my couch and dock it and get my Switch controller and just play. That's why I want it. Just like the Switch, yeah, I do it in handheld, if I go out or some shit like that. But I wouldn't play handheld more, because I just want my screen as big as possible. The biggest appeal for me is just the fact that I can dock it, really. And in the end, I don't care really about how strong it is or what it can do. The more the better. But I just want to be able to dock that. That's the only reason why I want it.
Well, and they hadn't confirmed everything yet, but they're trying to make it so you can operate it with just a controller, even if it's on your TV. But at that time, I don't think it fully was doing that. So plenty of time to change. But right now, you'd still, if you're gonna dock it up by your TV and then go sit on the couch, you're gonna need a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, to really utilize it That's still better than your current setup.
Sometimes I sit like over there and I have like my laptop on the PC because I do that sometimes. I have my mouse on the arm of my
Okay,
couch.
so
Like
you'll be
I don't
able to
I don't
play it
really
like
care
that.
for that stuff. Like but I mean even Steam on the PC you can use your controller for that. It has like this. I don't use it because I don't like the way it looks really, but it has the Steam mode thing where you just control it with
Oh,
the
the big
controller.
picture mode.
Yeah, that
But you
stuff.
still
Like
got to
it
engage that with
changes
a
it changes
mouse.
the interface completely and stuff.
Well, that kind of annoys me.
Like,
So what? I had to click it with a mouse and then
but
plug the
it's not
controller
on the
in.
Steam Deck. It's just gonna. It's not. They're calling it little picture mode. It's not big picture mode. Their goal is to have it so with just a controller you can do everything you need to do, um, without having to get a keyboard and mouse involved. Now, if you want to use it for more than just gaming, there's pretty much no way around. You're gonna
That case, yeah.
you're gonna
But the
have to
way
have
I
a
the way
Bluetooth
I see
mouse or
it,
something.
the way
Yeah.
I see it, the way I intend to use it is if I want to game that, for example, I would take it out to dog where I don't care, and then just go on there, look on thing, and select the game, bam, dock it, and I sit down.
So
I
Terrell,
don't need to control it from the couch per se.
you're the biggest handheld gamer out of all of us.
Oh
Is
yeah.
there
Right.
any appeal to the Steam Deck? Have you watched any of the hands-on stuff?
I didn't get a chance because I got home from work and then I immediately went right back out to get something to eat and then I jumped on here.
Yeah,
So I haven't
okay.
had a chance to watch it.
I will say,
Uh,
like, no legit. I had no interest. I didn't care about trying to snag one on the pre-orders, but I'm finding it very interesting to hear more and more about it. To be honest with
I
you.
think I'm probably gonna line in the same pocket as retro, where as of currently, it's not really a high focus for me. But like maybe in a couple years, also because like it's new tech and I want to see how it kind of like plays out, and because I don't really, I think if there was something that only I could play on the Steam Deck that I was interested in, that'd be enough for me. But because that's not really what that device is,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean much. Like anything that I want to play, I'm gonna buy on PC. And granted, that'll go towards my Steam Deck towards later, so I'm still technically preparing myself for it. But then I'm just gonna play it on my PC. I guess my thing is like I don't need it, so I'm not overly concerned about it.
But you do play your Switch a lot in handheld mode, and that's basically the same
Yeah,
situation where you could just easily dock it and play it. But I feel like out of all of us, you would be the one to use it the most in handheld, the Steam Deck. Like if
oh
you
no,
had it.
you're probably right. Yeah, I'm just
So
not in a rush for it. I guess
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
For me, like I think I made this point before. Like with the Switch, it was different because new shit I wanted to play, I had to buy a Switch. Whereas like with the Steam Deck, I don't really need to get it. Like, is it a nice thing to have? And if someone offered it to me, or if I could easily get one at like a cheaper cost, fine, whatever. But like, there's no rush for it. I
okay.
think that's my issue. I have
Well,
no
one of the
rush
things
to
that
get it.
I would love to see, and I know a lot of people say like the Wii U emulator is super resource heavy. You got to brute force it. But on my old graphics card was like a 5.5 teraflop. It's not the same. It's not the new RDNA 2, which is way more efficient. But I could run the emulator pretty decently. And what I would be curious is to see when people install Windows and see CEMU or even the Switch emulator. Switch emulator is a little more dicey. The games, they're struggling. I don't follow that scene much, but the last time I heard one of the newer games was really struggling. I think I was looking up Bowser Fury just to see if somebody had any like high res or anything. And I would just be curious if somebody got Steam Deck with Windows, you install whatever Yuzu, whatever the Switch emulator is, if you could get like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and just like somebody actually side by side, what can the Steam Deck do? Even just emulating a Switch game, could Bowser's Fury run at like a locked 60, or something like that? I'd be curious to see where the emulation scene takes this, because for some people, I mean, I downloaded that emulator, then I found out you got to have this like key that no one wants to give out because it like they'll get banned if they mention on YouTube and shit.
Yeah.
So I had just gave up. I'm like, I don't know where to find this. But I'd be curious if somebody gets the Steam Deck, gets all that figured out. I don't know if you could hook up a USB Type C to a cartridge reader. I doubt that would work, but if I'd be curious to see if somebody gets Switch games running on the Steam Deck, and it's like gonna be an issue for Steam Deck. Oh, well, I'm just curious to see what it could actually do. I mean, it wouldn't be indicative of its actual power because of how inefficient in doing emulation, but it would just be very. I'd be very curious to see. I would think Dolphin would probably be okay. Seeing like
Yeah,
Wii
Dolphin,
and
I
GameCube
think,
games,
will be fine.
but it'd just be crazy to have, Switch games if somebody could get them to work decently on the Steam Deck and next to the Switch and just see what how close it could get performance wise, because the same resolution screen basically, and it'll be the same size as the OLED. So it's just it's kind of an interesting thing, and I'm not sure how reliant like the internet connection is going to be, because that's one of the best things about the Switch is how unreliant it is to be connected to the internet. It really doesn't make much difference. If you're offline or online, you still play the game unless it's an online game, but your system doesn't seem any different. Whereas like Xbox and PS5, PS4, Xbox One, when you didn't have the internet connected, it's like a completely different experience on the OS, because you don't have your update, your news, and all your stuff, which I guess PS5 probably less affected than PS4. So
PS4 seem pretty reliable.
we'll see what how the Steam Deck fares in that regard about being connected, because I haven't heard anything about it having any kind of data, so it's going to be completely reliant on Wi-Fi hotspots. So I would assume it would be geared towards people not having an internet connection, like on a plane or on a bus or something, or in a car.
How long would the download process for the games, like if you wanted to download them directly onto the Steam Deck?
I'm sure it'd be pretty quick. But
Okay,
once you get them
that's what I was
downloaded, I mean, that's what I'm wondering, because it has cloud saves and stuff. I would hope that your play experience wouldn't be relying on constant internet connection. That's something that I'd really like to know.
Yeah, that to me, that's the most interesting thing, is just to see like a normal end user experience.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I would need to see before actually putting money towards a thing. I want to know these questions. That's some of the really good questions Linus and on the tested channel, I forget, Norm was his name. They asked some really good questions, and they didn't have answers for a lot of the best questions, because it was basically PR guys. It wasn't with the head of Valve's guy, whatever his name is, the head Valve guy at Valve.
I feel like you should at least have one. Like,
he wasn't there, and maybe he didn't want to answer those questions anyway. But
I guess I feel like considering this is like, I guess this will be one of the more interesting mainstream experiments. I would like to know a little bit more of the ins and outs of how they plan to do things. But I guess when is it first come out? Like when is
I thought it was December or November.
Is
December. It? Yeah. If they make,
we'll
see if they make that with the hardware shortages and stuff.
Yeah, especially when I heard that some people were getting delayed all the way up until the year after next.
Yeah, because I mean, I know there's
2023.
Who was just it was a Roy Relapse, said his friend last year pre-ordered a 3080 RTX 3080 graphics card, and he still doesn't have it. He's still waiting.
Really?
Yeah, I would just say give up. You could have got one. I mean, they've resupplied them. So I don't know. I think that's gonna be the big hurdle. But I mean, I honestly want it to do well. Like Linus, he's got that video had almost 3 million views. I forget how many subscribers he has. He thinks it's the most exciting tech that'll come out this year as far as hardware, because there really isn't anything else hardware wise. If this thing does pretty well, man, I would, just from the aspect of putting pressure on Nintendo, like showing people, what can be done with the handheld. It doesn't have to be all these sacrifices. You know, this it can do this. You know, the Steam Deck does this. It can be x86. It can be almost 2 teraflops. You know, like I don't know what kind of money they're losing if they're losing any on that $400 version, but you know, I would love to have somebody put some pressure on Nintendo from a competition standpoint, just to make them have to work a little harder. I think I wouldn't be against that.
It's an exciting world to live in, where everybody for like decades were like, consoles need to be more like PC, need to be more like PC, and now we're living in an age where the PC is like, yo, let me try and be more like a console.
Let me be a
Like,
console one time.
Yeah,
it's like it's interesting. I like it.
that's funny.
Here's my question: do you think any version of it's being sold at a loss or a profit?
Maybe
Like,
the $400 version, but if you look at the price of SSDs right now, the difference between the 64 and the 256 is like $130 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the price of a 256 SSD. The 500 gig version is like $650, and I doubt it's even the fastest current SSDs. So and they it's an improved anti-glare glass on it, but other than that, basically just the price of the solid state drive,
Right.
which we know right now is the Gen 4 solid states are for 500 gigs 120 to 150. So it doesn't quite make sense why it's that much more, other than they're trying to recoup some money off the $400 one. So 12
See, I'd
feet
be
agrees
curious.
with me. I don't know what he agrees with me on, but he agrees with me, so that's cool.
As long as I'm right, it's all right.
Because just think, I mean, I mentioned this last week. I didn't specify. Was it last week with Clock that was on? We were talking about if Nintendo, I truly believe if Nintendo had a popular system that was x86, whether it's a handheld or not, if it's just a successful system, that we'd be getting all these games day and date. All the major games that aren't exclusives, you know, if it's on Xbox and PlayStation, it'd be on Nintendo system. If they had,
you don't believe in that theory that a lot of Nintendos believe that like the industry somewhat shuns Nintendo to a degree.
I think that's shunned in that they don't want to spend whatever $100,000 million or whatever it costs to spend a year having Panic Button port a game. Like that's. The proof is in the pudding. Look at how many third-party games, even though they're late, the Switch is getting, with it being a challenge. Like I think that only goes towards my point that if it was easier and the system wasn't such a drop in performance or in specs, that we'd definitely be getting more. You wouldn't be getting less than what's on the Switch now. I think it would just mean we'd get way more. Like. Darksiders 3, if they can do it, like if they're putting the effort in to put a game like with all this work, you know, there's no way Capcom wouldn't have Resident Evil Village on Nintendo system if they could easily and not cost them.
Fucking Capcom is still doing exclusives for Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean,
which is always shocking considering how trash they were, and not even about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, so it's
just like, I know it's gonna sound a little weird because I'm kind of over the whole idea of, well, I can play this portably, like as the big selling point for these games that finally come, like The Witcher 3. I can play The Witcher 3 on the go. That's just that in itself. Well, I kind of feel that way when I think about playing some of my favorite games, like Resident Evil 2 Remake. Like the thought of a competent version of that being in the palm of my hand, like I can kind of get back on that train of being excited for that kind of stuff.
You just want to take a Claire to bed with you.
Good point. Like, Control. Like I can play that on the go, not some shit cloud version.
Female protagonist.
A good-looking version of Immortals. Fucking that has a male and female option, dude. So
yeah, hey, there's still a female option, and that's all that matters.
Fucking
Right, Juice?
Doom
Right,
Eternal. Doom Eternal. I mean, the Switch version isn't terrible, but you know.
I don't know. I've seen some of them demons. Yeah.
Let's see. For Juice, the x86 comment. Sony and Microsoft wanted a Tegra CPU. It ran circles around Jaguar. Nintendo got it in the late song after the fact, and now they're stuck with it. Well, yeah, there's no doubt Sony and Microsoft screwed up with the getting the Jaguar. I don't know, whatever. That was the cheapest, best option. I don't know if if they went with a Tegra, would that have automatically been ARM no matter what? I'm curious. But the Jaguar CPU, even with these shitty CPU, everybody loves to talk about the shitty Jaguar CPUs. Like, I listened to whether it's Next Gen 720 podcast back a year ago when I was listening to him.
Next Gen makes videos? Oh.
Fuck Digital Foundry, Spawn, whoever. They always talk about how shitty the Jaguar CPUs are. They always make fun of them. It's like two cell phone CPUs stuck together. Even with that, everyone loves to point that out. Look at the games we got the last few years on, especially the PS4 or the One X. You know, look at Ghost of Tsushima, whether you like the game or not. God of War, The Last of Us Part 2, Forza Horizon 4. So everyone loves to talk about how shitty the Jaguar cores are, and I know that the visuals and stuff are more on the GPU, but it didn't really hold back. It held back, you know, we got a lot of 30 frames per second games on the base consoles especially. But still, we got some just amazing looking games, even with the shitty CPU that everybody loves to talk about. So I would take a shitty CPU with whatever else that made the PS4 able to do games like God of War, like the games I mentioned. You know, whatever. Even the PS4 Pro. Immortals looked amazing. It was 30 frames per second, but it looked amazing on the PS4 Pro. Uncharted Lost Legacy looked amazing on the Pro. Spider-Man, even with those shitty CPU cores. So that's just something I've always thought about, but I've never said that out loud. Like,
I don't pay that much attention. In the grand scheme of things, that tech shit, it's always interesting for like the back end conversation. But if you're looking at the games as a result, it's kind of like, does it bother you? The one that I did want to mention, because I know we found out, what was it, last week, that the PS5 hit 10 million, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What do you think the Xbox is at currently?
They already announced it, 6 million.
Oh, really?
The combined Series S and X are at 6 million. They announced it like 2 days later.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
They're selling everything. Well, depends on. I've seen up postings in Europe and stuff where that Series S has just been on the shelf, and Best Buy just randomly was on Best Buy the other day, and they had Series S pickup ships within, or pickup in 2 days or 1 or 2 days. I figured it was the next day or 2 days later. So they had Series S available. So the X's have never been readily available, but for the most part, there's nothing on the shelf. So they're selling everything. So I wonder why there's such a discrepancy, because I doubt Japan's made that huge a difference. I know parts of Europe are way into PlayStation, but that's a 4 million difference, and they're both hard to find.
Yeah, because they didn't break it down like which region had how much.
No.
So you can't. I would.
So there might be stock sitting on the shelves in some European countries of the S. The X I wouldn't think anywhere is sitting on the shelf. But PS5 just got guy in Target yesterday. He expected to I could see him kind of fast walking. It was like 4 PM. Like, dude, if you think you're gonna get a PS5, don't come at 4 PM. But he's walking around. I'm looking at games. He's like, "You got a PS5?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "How'd you get it?" I was like, "Yeah, my buddy, Amazon.com." I said, "I've had it since like March." And I said, not Amazon, but Walmart. I said he added it to the cart in the first wave, and the second wave he just spanned checkout, and it worked for him 3 times in a row. And he was like, "Oh man," I was like, "I don't want to rub it in." I said, "But it's I'm absolutely loving it. Like, I love it plays my PS4 games great." I said,
the hell is he there for?
I said the haptics and the games that use it is amazing, and he was a little salty. Man, I've been trying since launch. So he's still trying, but yeah. So whatever the reason is, Xbox was at 6, that's a big win compared to the Xbox One, because the Xbox
Yeah,
One
like
was
because
at
you
3
said
million.
that.
Was at 3 million at the same time in
It
its
was at
life.
3 million.
In 2014, by like June or July, it finally passed the Wii U. In like I think it was like June or July at like 3 million.
Do you think? Well, all right. 2 questions then. First one, do you think that Xbox shipped out less units than PlayStation has? In terms
They
of
have to, otherwise how it wouldn't it'd be at the same amount if they had the same.
And here's the second question: do you think that the Xbox will catch the PS5 at any point?
It's hard to say. It'd have to really depend on like some of those Bethesda games in like 2024. Some of those bigger games, not just Bethesda, but some of those bigger games in the end of 2022, 23, and 24. If it's like, what is that Starfield or whatever the game, that's supposed to be 2022, right? That could always get delayed, yeah. But if those games start coming out and like, really, is your cat Needing behind you there? It's like, she's like needing her paws. But there's a chance, but it depends on how big of a lead the PS5 actually, obviously, I mean, it's a 4 million gap, but it's a 40% advantage. So if it was at, well, if you're talking 20 million,
I think catching up only if there's not enough PS5s.
Well, yeah, okay. And here's the other thing, because didn't we recently hear about Horizon getting delayed? Or
it wasn't official.
It wasn't official. Okay,
that's just a report, which I believe because the same report happened about God of War, and then like 3 months later, Sony confirmed it, and then I was like, people were like, oh my God, they lied, and I was like, well, we already knew this. Well, it wasn't official, but now it's like the same situation. Horizon's pretty much official with everybody, but it isn't official, and then like a month from now, it's gonna make official, and people are like, Sony lied to us. People, I'm like, what? We've known this for like 2 months now. Like,
the only reason why it's interesting because then that would mean like, what's PlayStation's heavy hitter for like the rest of this year?
They won't have Deathloop will be the biggest one left.
I don't know.
Well, actually, they showed they had like a reel of the games coming, and they weren't.
Like we're missing a game.
They weren't like all exclusives or anything, but there's still some. It was a list. I was like, "Whoa, that's right, that's coming." And it's like, "Oh, this is coming to PS4 and PS5." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a pretty cool game." And so it's not like they don't have. It's not like they have nothing, but they don't have a big, major game after Deathloop, if you even consider that a big major game.
The best I give that game is like a AA. That's about where I hang around.
And it looks pretty cool, but I don't think it's going to be a huge seller.
That's my issue.
A couple of days ago, you had a trend on Twitter again, like literally like 2 or 3 days ago. But like I don't know, I remember the hashtag. It was something like "got no PS5" or some shit, because PlayStation asked people what they were playing on the PlayStation 5, and obviously everybody was fucking complaining that they couldn't get a PS5 and shit. People were getting mad. Like we're like halfway through the fucking year at this point, and it launched at the end of last year. Like, you shouldn't still be having that issue for a new console at this point.
That's one of the reasons why I said just wait. There was no, to me, it wasn't that big of a deal, especially for Sony, who was already kind of killing it.
Yeah, but if you wait and then Microsoft has a 10 million head start by the time you release your PS5, I don't think they want to be in that situation.
I guess.
Because just think if there was no PS5, that means there'd be less chip shortage for Xbox because there's not 10 million going to Sony. They might be at 7-8 million right now if the PS5 wasn't on the market. So I don't know.
They both should have waited, but
that's for sure.
Instead of one system selling like 10 million, instead of one system selling 10 million, like you said, and a PlayStation like keeping up, like now they're both like trolling and shit. It's such a janky console launch.
Well, because I don't think. Well, to be fair, we're dealing with something that we weren't really planning to deal with, and I feel like they were already too far in their plans, and they just refused to back down because they were afraid they would lose money to the competition. The problem is
playing chicken, and
if they both would have just said we'll launch them in 2021, I think that would have been better.
The problem is that Xbox really couldn't afford to wait. Because Xbox was already losing money.
Yeah, because the one wasn't going to sell 6 million from November to now.
Yeah, so I understood Xbox more than Sony. Sony, you just put out like two high profile games, not even like a few months before you released the new console. You could have, I think they could have took that hit. I think Sony has enough IPs and brand recognition that they could have caught that.
But at the same
really
time, as an owner of the PS5, I can tell you, other than they didn't have the expansion slot ready. The new OS is a little bit more sleek when it comes to the beta that's out right now. There's the messaging system's been improved, the access to it. It doesn't feel like an incomplete rushed product. I mean, everything I've used has just felt super slick, super polished. The transition from PS4 to the PS5 was absolutely seamless, other than I had to manually download my cloud save files. Like, I had to go into the cloud, or PlayStation Plus, go to cloud, hit the select all, and hit download to console. And it took like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was. Other than that, it's been absolutely seamless. And then we talked about the library. I mentioned this last week, but Clocked It was going on a bit of a rant. I didn't want to rain on his parade, or I didn't want to get in a debate about it. People, including myself, are acting like these cross-gen games don't count at all. Like, it's a better alternative, I think, than just not having like those cross-gen games like the Assassin's Creed, the Immortals, the Watch Dogs, and Resident Evil Village. They're coming to the last gen at this, but if you have a PS5, they're games to buy. They're new games that you can buy, whether they, like you guys always talk about that's coming to PS4, I don't need a PS5. Well, you don't need a PS5, but if you have a PS5, that's still a new game that's out for the system. Like Kana, Bridge of Spirits, it's coming to PS4, but it's still a new game for me for my PS5. Like, it doesn't take anything away from my perspective. It's a new game. It adds to the library of the game, of the system. It's like, I just don't discredit those like I feel a lot of people do. So overall, I'm in a weird situation right now where I'm been a little bit sidetracked with some real world stuff. With my truck got in an accident, and I was dealing with the body shop. 6 weeks I had to borrow vehicles. Then I'm doing home improvement stuff. I haven't played Rocket League. I think I played Rocket League once in like 3 weeks, almost a month. I think I played it twice in the last month. That was like a 3-4 times a week type of game. So I just haven't been gaming that much right now. But at the same time, what I have been playing, I've been thoroughly enjoying the PS5 experience, to the point where when I turned on Bowser's Fury and my controller I wasn't feeling the raindrops I was used to from Returnal and Astro's Playroom, I was like, I noticed it was missing. Like, that's how much it's already, added to my gaming experience, where when Bowser shows up and the rain starts falling, I'm kind of expecting to feel raindrops on the controller. It's like it's already had a positive influence or positive effect on the loading times. Like, I'm already to the point where a 20-second loading time when I get the Gigabell in Bowser's Fury is like, set my controller down. Like, what am I waiting for? Like, it's just crazy how quickly I've already gotten used to super fast loading, and especially like Resident Evil Village is like, it's literally 2 seconds or 1.8 seconds to load your save file from the menu, like you're in the game you're playing. Like, that's unheard of. So I see where people are saying that I have no problem if both systems would have waited, just because of the shortages and stuff, and the lack of games, as far as exclusive games. But at the same time, like I said, you can play like Immortals. If you have a PS5 and you buy Immortals, you're getting a vastly superior version of Immortals versus like the PS4 version. So it's like, just that cross-gen game alone almost justified for me the PS5, plus everything else I've played. So I guess I'm in a different position because I have one that I don't feel that quite the same. I'm glad I've had it. I'm glad I've had it to play Days Gone and Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I do genuinely believe it's made those experience is significantly better. So and everything else that comes with it, the speed of everything, the operating system, the ease of streaming. Like, I'm not one to stream. I sold my capture card, but how many times have I streamed something? Whether it was what was the first? I did Resident Evil. I've done Returnal. I've done Ghost of Tsushima. I did Days Gone. It's just really easy to use. So it's been from that perspective, it's almost worth the upgrade by itself. Because how much is a capture card right now? Like I think I sold my Elgato for like $175 used. So like, I don't know. There's reasons to have that, and the Xbox, same thing. Basically everything I said applies to the Xbox as well. So I think there's some value to upgrading, even without the heavy hitter must-have exclusive games.
I guess it's I actually would look at it almost like an OLED situation, in the sense that there's value in upgrading, but having that one extra thing kind of be like must-have for me. So like, the cross-gen games aren't necessarily a deficit for it. It's more of like less of a reason to be as excited. Like, yeah, there are benefits you get from the PlayStation 5 version of a game, but like, if I care just about, it's not like my issue is that since Sony does that thing where it'll switch gens even when their older console is still a perfectly fine machine, I'm never in a rush to switch. Versus like, I guess I would say Nintendo, where like the Wii was old when it came out. So like, Wii U comes out, you're like, oh fuck, I might as well just switch over. I don't.
I get what you're saying, and I agree, but at the same time, I think it's more of a negative towards Nintendo that by the time the new system comes out, it's not every time, but it almost feels like their systems are like the GameCube. The sales were completely flatlined. That system was DOA. I hate to say it, because as much as I give it shit, I think it was, for that generation, it was a very good machine. I just didn't. I don't think some of the Nintendo first party games lived up to their standards because they had to kind of get them out, try to boost sales. So the GameCube was flatlined. The sales were completely flatlined. They had the Wii came out with a GameCube that people loved, but the sales were stagnant. So they had to put out something, kind of like Xbox with the Series X. They had to put out something. So then the Wii comes out and it's a huge success, but they didn't anticipate the fallout of the user base. All of a sudden, basically, literally, people are putting it in their closets. The non-gamers, like a girl at work, she's like, oh yeah, I used to play Just Dance. She's like, the thing's Wii's been in the closet for like 3 years. This was like right after the Wii U came out. And I know a lot of people like that they'd buy the Wii Fit, the balance board. And, how's that going? Oh, I haven't. That's been put away for like 6 months, because I was going to try the balance board and the guy let me borrow it. He hadn't touched his Wii in like 6 months, older guy. So they didn't anticipate that. So the Wii U comes out. The Wii was just absolutely dead. I mean, it was a year past dead. And so then the Wii U comes out, and it's a just absolute sales failure. So there hasn't really been just a normal generation since the N64 into the GameCube. That's the last time Nintendo just had for home console, just a normal.
That's because
the system was going good, but it ran its course, and you can even argue that they wanted to get out of the cartridge thing because the third parties and stuff. They wanted to get to a disc-based system. So it's hard to really judge Nintendo's generation.
Nintendo also has the problem of waiting too fucking long in terms of transitioning. Like, I give Sony shit for like doing it too quickly, but the advantage is that you maintain your momentum going into the next generation. But they do it too quickly,
but it's still longer it's still 6, 7, 8 years. Like, it's quick because their system's still doing well, but it's still shorter than Nintendo's turnarounds, usually 5 years, 4.5 to 5 years. But Sony's is like 6, 7, 8 years.
I think the biggest difference in there between Sony and Nintendo is like Nintendo launches shit. They try to have all this shit in the beginning, and then they like struggle to keep up in the long run.
Yeah.
Whereas Sony is like a slow burner. They don't have a
Yeah.
lot in the beginning, but it increases and it never stops increasing. That's why, like Terrell said, the PS4 at the end, like you didn't need to change because it had like fucking 3 or 4 massive games like that last year and shit. Like the
Yeah.
PlayStation just works in a different order, and
The
I think
Wii-
it's just a more effective one.
The Wii tried to do that, but the Wii had like a really bad dead zone. Like
Yeah.
Well, there's
right around, and they tried to recover by throwing out things like Other M and Skyward Sword, but like you did it after like this lull. There was like this weird lull in the Wii of like a year or 2 years, but nothing really came out.
Well, here's the
and then
funny
you
thing.
tried to come back with it, and it didn't work.
The most famous thing I think most people said about the Wii U is it came out a year too late and a year too early at the same time. A year too late because it needed to be out in 2011 to try to keep some momentum, but it came out a year too early because they just weren't ready. The OS was just a fucking shambles when the Wii U launched. They didn't even people didn't get hands on with the OS till like the day before or 2 days before the launch, and they put out that patch. Remember the 45-minute to an hour update was the OS. They didn't have it ready, so it was like it should have came out in 2011, but it also wasn't ready in 2012 as from a hardware standpoint because they're getting the gamepad and all that stuff done first.
Well, then they showed the bitch off 2 E3s. Like you don't need to see that. I didn't need to see that console 2 times.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what if there was delays. The games. You want to talk about not having games? I mean, yeah, as much as I really like New Super Mario Brothers U, but you could tell that wasn't like in development. That game, there's no reason that should have been 720p. Like it was a very safe, and it felt, even though it was a really good game, especially like the star level, the really hard levels. It felt like that shit was made in less than a year. It felt like Nintendo Land was put together in a year. And then it took them till 2013 till they already started getting games like 3D World and Pikmin 3 and stuff. So that probably should have launched in 2013, but they couldn't wait. Sony could have waited. Microsoft couldn't with this one. So
Sony could have waited. I think they were just Microsoft. Well, Microsoft was kind of having the same problem where they were fucking like Sony was catching up to them insanely quickly, and Xbox. I remember Xboxes last year had no first party. You still obviously had your third party stuff come out, but the 360s like last year, maybe a year and a half, was just third party games.
And I'd be curious to see what GTA 5 sold best on, because they were at that point the PS3 had passed.
I would bet either PS3 or PS4.
I think it was the PS. Well, I mean, between the PS3 and the 360. I think it was the PS3 because the PS3 actually passed. PS3. The PS3 actually passed in lifetime sales. Because it was like 89, 87, 88.
Well, and it's because Microsoft did that same shit. They started off really strong, and then as time went on, they kind of just petered out. So they were kind of in the same dead zone as like Nintendo. The difference is Nintendo tried to kind of save itself at the end, and it didn't work. Xbox just didn't bother, and actually went in probably. I would argue they went into the worst direction in terms of transitioning because they went into that whole DRM TV sports bullshit.
Yeah, that was
they hold themselves. I think that was probably the worst direction you could have took it, and they never recovered. Like people can say what they want about Nintendo, but I think we can all agree the Wii U had better games than Xbox One did, exclusive wise. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So like, at least you still were getting decent games from Nintendo. Xbox, what was it? Rise, and was it Alan Wake? Is that what I'm thinking of?
No, they had Dead. What the hell's?
Killer Instinct.
They Killer Instinct, but they had that zombie game like number 3. What was it? Dead Rising.
Dead Rising.
Yeah, But I did want to point out something that's similar to you talk about at the end. Sony comes with these great games. That's what the Zelda cycle is right now. I think Nintendo needs to break that cycle because right now, since Twilight Princess came at the end of the GameCube, which they put it on the Wii. Then Skyward Sword came when the Wii was dead. Breath of the Wild came out when the Wii U was done and over with, and now this Breath of the Wild sequel is going to come out near the tail end of the Switch, and it's like, I get it, but it's hurt every time. It's hurt. Well, Twilight Princess did well in the Wii, but unless if they don't do cross gen for Breath of the Wild 2, and it depends on when the new next system's coming out, it could actually hurt the sales.
Well,
so it's like I'd hate it because having to, if their new system ain't out till 2023. If I was Nintendo, I'd almost want to try to course correct and get a new Zelda out in the beginning of a system, and then and possibly a sequel towards the end, and then but they're stuck on this release where it comes out at the very end of the system's life.
I'll say this. I don't think Zelda is in the exact same position, and it's not even Zelda that makes me think. The reason why I think we probably have at least I would say at least a couple more years with the Switch is because you're releasing Splatoon 3 next year.
Yeah.
That to me, that wouldn't make sense to put that game out if you're literally going to transition into another console like a year later.
Well, if it comes out early 2022 and your next system comes out the end of 2023, that's a year and a half they could support Splatoon 3. I don't know. That's a good point, though.
Oh, wait, here's my question. Do you think
Nintendo does the complete unexpected, and they do that thing where they do? I don't think so, but they do release a console pretty soon, and you can do that thing that people like doing now, where you can freely upgrade to Splatoon 3 through the graphical update of the new system, and then they can still keep it going, and they can play it cross-gen, But I mean, then we're talking about like some kind of dream Nintendo.
I don't think Nintendo would do that.
Nintendo wouldn't normally. I was gonna say, would you still feel the same way, Juice, if it came out like before June next year? If it came out like somewhere between
Splatoon
like
3?
April. No. Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh.
If it came out earlier next year.
I don't think it will, but if it did, then I guess it's fine because they're still proud. I mean, the momentum of the Switch is still where I think the Breath of the Wild 2 is going to sell really well. But at the same time, if they release, let's say at the end of 2022, and then in 2023 they announce a new system, it would affect sales. Like, I think it's really tough to have them hold that game because I want to play it as soon as it comes out. But it's almost like, and if you put it at the launch, like Breath of the Wild, it's been a success. Having their biggest game ever at the launch of the Switch is a proven success. I mean, it's the best-selling Zelda game by far. It's like 22 million or something?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a proven strategy. You look at Skyward Sword.
23 million.
Skyward Sword at the end of the Wii's life sold like 3 million. Like, so I'm a little concerned, and especially if Breath of the Wild goes through some kind of development issue where they just want to add something else to it, and it's a really late 2022 or 2023 game, then at that point I would probably think they'd have to consider trying to
so do you
hold it.
Okay, well, I guess
the
last thing I'll ask is what do you think the new console's coming out 2023? Is that where you're
That's what I would hope for, but I don't think it will. That'll be 4. Yeah, would that be 6 years? That's a normal life cycle for Nintendo. 6 is like the longest they've ever done.
The new console in 2023, bitch. 2023 is when you get maybe the first trailer of Prime 4.
How dare you?
They might as well hold that. They might as well hold that.
Wait, Retro. What year do you think we're gonna get the new console?
Well, like I said, I think the Switch can go to like 8-10 years easy, especially because Animal Crossing launching last year. I believe that now a little bit less because Nintendo dropped that. But like you said, Splatoon next year, in general, they support Splatoon for up to like 2 years easy.
Yeah.
They never said, I think, Breath of the Wild 2 was in development for Switch. They just had the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But they did say Prime 4 was in development for the Switch, as I remember correctly.
You know what's going to really dictate it for me is if we get like a direct either at the end of this year or early next year. And to me, that'll dictate what we see in that direct will be kind of a good idea of me being like, okay, we're good for like another 2 years or
Do
another
you mean
year.
if they show like new shit or
Well, I mean,
release
'cause,
dates?
but it to me, it's weird to me to think that like at the end of next year they're gonna start showing off like Switch 2 stuff, because like remember the way next year begins is Pokemon, and then like it'll possibly end with Zelda, like, and then you're like, oh, by the way, here's a new console. That just
I don't
seems like
see that happen either. Yeah, like
that
especially
just
because
seems like a hell of a lot to do. Plus, you have
the
Splatoon somewhere in the middle.
I can also imagine like Pokemon Legends Arceus, they call it, I think.
Yeah.
I can see that be the type of game where they would actually, if it's gonna be the game I imagine it to be, I can see them make like DLC for it in like massive question, which could take them a year or two to make, maybe even. Like I don't think like if you want an answer for me, when do I see like a next console? I'd give you 25 probably at the
God,
earliest.
I mean, if you
At
look,
the earliest.
I think
that's
25 is way too long. But if you look at the
that's a lot.
2022 lineup, I mean, 2023 holiday, they don't have to promote it till early 2023. They don't have to mention it in 2022.
That's true.
And then if they do it the way they should and have a smooth transition, the seamless, backwards compatibility, all that, like, then you can do what Sony's proven can happen.
You could probably
You can have the new system and the old system both selling, and have your cross-gen games and your like. It's proven that it works. Sony's always sold at least like 80-something million. Every home console's done.
The Switch was the first gen not to really have a seamless transition. Everything else, like GameCube to Wii, was seamless.
Well, N64 to GameCube was a complete change.
Well, that one had to happen though. Like there was
Wii to Wii U was
reasons why I can see this. I can see the Switch.
That's relatively seamless because you could carry over everything.
Yeah, but all the stuff you carried over was only in Wii mode. Your Wii U itself, you started fresh with your account, with your name. It was like you had a Wii built in, but it wasn't like the Wii U and Wii were seamless mixed together.
So it's kind of like a half and half kind of situation where it wasn't. It's
like a separate thing. It's like the PS3 had the PS2 mode, but it's not like your save data or anything was. You could plug in a memory card, as far as I could tell. I don't think you could plug in a PS2 memory card into the PS3. Maybe you could.
No, you couldn't.
But either way, it was starting fresh with the actual Wii U, and then the Switch, you started fresh again. They need to stop doing that because it's just at this point.
I think the Switch would be the transitional one.
Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, one of the reasons I think the Switch might go on longer, maybe artificially longer than it should even. I can even admit that, is because I can see Nintendo being really scared because of what happened to the Wii U, and they have something that works now.
But
so why drop that?
Because then you get the Wii situation where you waited too long and you hold the next console, where you had the Wii U come out where it felt like
but if you can keep the releases of games coming, like next year looks already fucking sick. Like you barely need to add another game to that list. I feel, and they probably will, and you still have time to already work on like 23 after that. We still have. I mean, I don't see Bayonetta coming next year. I don't see Prime coming next year. That's two games I could see, for example, coming in 23. Like if they can keep the momentum of the games up by at least having 3 to 4 massive titles every year, they can keep that going.
Well, okay, I guess the other question is, since we have the OLED coming out in October, are we going to get another revision in like a year, or are they just going to say fuck it?
I can definitely see it. I can see like not taking rumors into account, anything of that.
We don't have to worry about that.
Switch Pro becoming an actual thing to keep that momentum going.
It just seems so weird.
To another console.
For me, it just seems so weird to have at that point you'll have like 110 million. To put out a Pro at that point,
it would just seem.
What is that?
Almost.
I mean, like I keep saying, all you're gonna have is the games you've already played. Now you can play them with better performance. Like, yeah, maybe you'll get 1 or 2 big new games after the Pro releases, but for the most part, all you're gonna have to play is all the games you've already played. I mean, how many hours you have in Sword and Shield, Terrell?
I haven't
300,
checked.
400. You think you're gonna go back and play Sword and Shield on
Well,
the
Pokemon,
Pro.
man, Pokemon would have released 9th Gen by that point anyway.
It's like
So many Pokemon games also coming out still. Like you won't have to worry about that shit.
I mean,
like, well, I guess my thing is if we went the Juices route where like it's a smooth transition, like it's backwards compatible, you can carry over your save data. You could kind of get away with this like transitional where it's like, oh, here's like all these games next year, but by the way, the next set of games, those are on the new system. You could do that, and it really wouldn't hurt anything because we know, as you said before, Juice, Sony did it, and it didn't really seem to change anything.
what about if the Xbox? What if they go the Xbox route and your new game for your Switch 2 will play on your old Switch? It'll just,
Would you? I wouldn't. I don't know if I would want that.
So just technically standard, like actual real backwards compatibility, like what Nintendo used to do.
It's not that I wouldn't dislike the idea of being able to do that, but it also depends on how far they take the Switch 2. Like, is the Switch 2, is it going to hang in that Steam Deck range in terms of power? Are they going to go further than that? Or are they going to, like, do that small incremental jump bullshit to where it's now as strong as a PS4?
I think they need to do a bigger jump this time because every time they've done, well, not sales-wise, but when they do a big jump, like Wii U over Wii or GameCube over N64, they've done things. Not that the GameCube had the best first-party games, but when more of the Wii U, that's when we got the enhancements to the Mario Kart franchise. That's where Mario Kart 8 really hit its stride. That's when they could go from Skyward Sword, which people are enjoying it now. One of the complaints was how linear it was and all this. Without the Wii U, there was no Breath of the Wild on the Wii. I don't care what anybody says about Xenoblade Chronicles being there. There was no Breath of the Wild happening on the Wii. So you need that. You need a big jump at some point to take, especially the talent of Nintendo, to be able to take games in a new place.
Well, if we follow the pattern, whereas like N64 was to GameCube was a high jump, GameCube to Wii was mid, Wii to Wii U was a big jump, Wii U to Switch was mid. Then realistically, you would think the Switch to
except for
Switch 2,
those power jumps always were met with low sales. So I don't know. I don't know if
that's and I think that I don't want them to be afraid of that. I don't want them to be afraid because I feel like
what I'm afraid of that they are afraid of that.
Well, because the issue is that the Switch is in a position where you made some decently smart decisions about who you went with in terms of processing power, in terms of graphics. Like it wasn't like you just threw a bunch of bullshit ass parts together and say, "All right, here's a console." Like you at least made some decently smart decisions of what you picked to put in the Switch. My concern is don't stop doing that.
You could say that, but you could also say they took the only option, the best, and it wasn't even the best option. You took the original Tegra.
Yeah, but if I think like that, then I get scared.
They could have had the I forget, it's not the Tegra 2, but the Marico, whatever the revision that's in the current, it's more than twice as efficient. If they would have had that from the start, because they have this efficient chip, but they're running it because they didn't want a disparity. So they're running this chip way below what it can do, just so it's not ahead of the day one Switch. So if they had that newer version of the Tegra from the jump, then they could have said, well, we're happy with 3 hours battery life, and we had better performance. Instead, now they're going for 9-hour battery life because they don't want it to be more powerful than the day one Switch. So if the original Switch gets 3 to 4 and this new one gets 8 to 9, 7 to 9, just in battery life, that means they could have had that 3 to 4 battery life and got a pretty significant increase in performance. So it's just, they had the option to go with that apparently, and they went with the basic one, the original one for cost savings, whatever the reason was. Maybe it was more proven at that point, but now they're with the second version.
Yeah, because technically, remember, they were researching this back in like 2016.
But somebody pointed out, really, I know Clocked said it a couple times, this was not Nintendo's system. Basically, NVIDIA, off-the-shelf Tegra, how much RAM you want, and what size it's going to be. We've got to have this battery in there. This is the size screen. This is the resolution. And then NVIDIA designed all they call them, I think, APIs, the access to really make it so it was a viable option. Because if you look at the NVIDIA Shield with the exact same chipset, it can't run games as well as the Switch because they have a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes and the games are optimized. So we got to wrap this podcast up, but I would love to know what a developer could do designing exclusively for the Steam Decks, like 1.6 teraflops of what is, I think it's supposed to have, with its new AMD architecture, the Zen 2, the RDNA 2 GPU, what a Nintendo or just a developer could do to like design a game optimized for that hardware, not just be a PC port. I would be curious to see what the potential is for a Nintendo Switch that has a similar power to the Steam Deck. Is if a game was built, designed for that system. I'd be very curious to see, because the Switch is like, it's not even a teraflop. It's like 800 gigaflop, whatever. I don't know if gigaflop's the right term. If a PS4 was like 1.8 teraflops.
Oh, okay.
Xbox was 1.3, and the Switch is like 0.7 teraflops, so 0.6.
Well, then, last thing, where does the Switch 2 need to land? Let's say it's the same concept, but it's more powerful.
If it comes out in 2 years, it needs to be definitely more powerful than the Steam Deck. I would say it needs to be closer to double the power of the Steam Deck. But
so right near 4 teraflops?
3, 4. The ace in the hole would be NVIDIA's DLSS 2 could mitigate the need for the actual teraflop number to be high. Just have a decent GPU that can run games at 60 frames per second at like 720p and use DLSS to bump it up to 1440, which would look fine on a 4K TV. That's really, so the teraflop number doesn't really matter as much as,
I'm just talking about in terms of power range. Where does it need to hang?
I think it needs to be more than double the Steam Deck if it's 2-3 years from now. If it was next year, then I would say, similar to Steam Deck would probably be pretty good, especially with NVIDIA's, like I said, their DLSS is the 2.2 or whatever, the newest version they just put out. It's just unbelievable how well that can upscale a lower resolution. It's amazing. So, but anyway, we got to wrap this up. We're getting close to the 3 hour mark. Let's go, because Terrell joined late and stuff. But good discussion, guys. This was fun. It's good not having.
We can hold it down. We got it.
Good. We don't need those other guys.
Yeah, it's just gonna be us 3 from now on, guys. So T and Clocked It, Robert. You guys don't worry about coming back.
Early, man.
Yeah, just watch Clocked It. Just watch it the next day to sleep in. Robert, you can sleep. He stays up.
I bet you he is asleep.
Oh, he's been asleep for sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been a fun one, and we'll see you next week.
Esau.
I'm gonna jump out instantly because my cat has been